Welcome back to the back corner to the dozens.
And the dozens.
We're so glad to have you here today.
And the 12.
The dozens and the 12. We've got with us today, as always, Brent Ingersoll. He'll think something's a conspiracy. I will be contrarian about something.
Yeah.
Repeat frequent flyer.
Hold on, I got an intro. Let's do an intro.
All right.
You ready? Here we
Okay.
go. We're trying to up our production value here.
Sure. Oh, it's a good theme for me.
Yeah. Back for the third time in the back corner. Our guest today is a theologian, speaker, and educator with a heart for engaging faith and culture. He lives in Halifax, Nova Scotia. We'll hold that against him. With his wife, Melissa, and their daughter, Josephine, he holds 2 undergraduate degrees in English language and literature. He is raising the roof from the University of Western Ontario and a bachelor in journalism from the University of King's College. After a brief career in television news, he earned his Master of Theology this is a long intro, from Acadia Divinity College and completed a PhD in Theological Studies at Wycliffe College. In addition to his work at Apologetics Canada, Ben serves as a recruiter and adjunct lecturer at Acadia Divinity University. He spent a few years traveling as a speaker and a preacher, teaching theology to congregations across the Maritimes and Ontario. Welcome back to the back corner, the person who's been here the most, other than me and AJ.
That's right.
Dr. Ben MacDonald.
Dr. Ben MacDonald.
Hova. There you go. People will take that the wrong way.
I like that's good music.
Hey,
it works.
It
that
feels
was
like
Jay-Z,
if you
right?
asked AI
Isn't
to...
that Jay-Z?
It's technically, well, it's
Oh, no, it's Kanye.
West,
Reach
but
up to the
not.
sky,
He
look
just
in there.
he just ripped
Yeah.
that off, though. That's an old, 70s.
That's a sample.
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah,
everything they do.
Yeah, it's an old R&B song. I forget what it's
It
called.
sort of reminds me of John Cena's entrance music.
Oh, yeah, sure. Best entrance
The time
music.
is now.
Who's best entrance
Oh,
music?
there's a top 4.
That is a top.
Stone Cold.
I was going to Stone Cold is
the
honorable.
glass shatter.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what his actual music is. I just know that there's the glass
Stone
shatter.
Cold coming out.
If you smell. That's
a
pretty
big
good.
one.
Well.
Yeah, Big
Well,
Show. I
it's
like
the
Big Show.
That
That
was
was
a good one.
That was a big one. I can go with Shawn
It's all about
Michaels.
the game.
What was Shawn Michaels?
I think I'm cute.
Yeah.
I got the...
Yeah.
I love the ones
That's
where they
a-
got the guy to sing it.
It's
who
so
can't
cheesy.
sing.
Yeah. Oh,
that's a,
He's kind of like sing-talking it.
what was
They're all
Bret
pretty
Hart's?
epic.
Bret Hart had a good one, too.
Oh, I don't know.
what is that one?
Oh, no. We're going to get stalled there.
I am not a Hogan fan at all.
I feel bad not knowing that one.
But there was something about that. I am a like before the music
Yeah,
comes in,
yeah.
American.
Yeah, that's a good top 4.
for the-
We'll
Can I
actually
say-
do that sometime.
One of my favorite pastime, little YouTube rabbit holes to go down is just watching old Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestling videos.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's just the height of American culture.
The
It's just-
matches or the
you're-
promos?
The promo, like just kind of watching his stage entry and
yeah.
talks.
Yeah.
Like, then I had a beer. What? And people just throwing him Coors Lights from full stadium toss.
It's peak America.
Yeah, well, it's like if you took 100
amazing.
gallons of America
Yeah.
and boiled it down till you only had 1 gallon of America left.
that gallon would be Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's what we're going to show future generations and be like, this was America.
Yeah, after the
That
fall
was
of
it.
civilization and they're digging through the
Yeah.
rubble.
Archaeologists will be like,
This-
what was America like?
It was this and got milk advertising.
In the late
people wore
20s.
jean shorts, knee braces
The jort was the preferred apparel of their
of
gladiators.
their heroes. And they have a good case for that.
The
John
jort.
Cena was
yeah.
all he's
Actually-
jorting it up still in his middle age.
Definitely.
You're right. There's something really like rough and tumble.
Yeah,
I want to fight you
about jorts.
About jorts. Gotta get
Nothing
me a
says
pair
I'm
of
ready to
jorts.
throw down like a guy in
I
jorts.
like clean cut jorts too.
I always
Not like,
laugh-
yeah,
they're not even
tattered.
frayed.
You know what I mean? Not even.
I
frayed,
always
like,
laugh
nice.
at
Talking
like the
Echo.
old school wrestler guys who like look like they got a face on them like a chewed boot, like the toughest
Yeah.
looking guys ever, and they're just rocking the little tight trunks.
Yeah,
yeah.
And it's just like I can't take that seriously. Like it's
Bob Backlund.
yeah, well, yeah, he was a
man.
goody, but still, yeah, like that era. Even
I'm
Ric
just coming
Flair
out with one black
yeah,
split.
like Ric Flair had the big robes and everything, but once he took them off, he just was in his little tighties. It was
It takes a lot of confidence to go out there and throw down in tighties.
Well, they also thought they were in like elite shape. He was just like, I have 7 drinks a day and work out, and I'm in elite shape. And you're
But
like,
that's the thing. You look at the dudes like in the 70s.
Oh, I know.
And like they were the legitimate. Like,
Yeah.
I always laugh
Ric
when they
Flair
talk
probably
about
was.
the unrealistic body standards that women face.
yeah, right.
And I'm like, look at the baddest, fittest dudes ever in the mid 70s
Yes.
and compare them to the baddest, fittest dudes in the 80s, let alone the 90s, like the roided out dudes. And you
man.
just go like,
Yeah, what we
like
have now.
The Rock. Well, before he lost 130 pounds or whatever, but The Rock
Seriously, yeah.
was like, that was like, yeah, that's what, that's what a guy in shape looks like. Like, no, that's what a guy who's killing himself looks like, right?
Absolutely. It's
one of those.
It's wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, we went down a rabbit hole there. That was
We're here for the rabbit
what
hole.
we're here
that's
for.
sort of what
That's
we
why
do.
I come.
That's
I
why
come
you're
for
back.
these conversations. These are the important
That's why the
conversations.
dozens are here.
And that's why we didn't plan this conversation quite as aggressively as we do some of them,
Fair
because we
enough.
knew it was just going to happen.
We knew it would happen.
Yeah.
Today's sponsors.
Apologetics Canada,
Yes.
Yeah.
where Ben MacDonald works
Yep.
with some other guys who don't have their doctorate.
Is there a website they can? Is there a website you can send people to check out Apologetics Canada?
Yeah, check us out at apologeticscanada.com. And then our socials are everywhere. Follow us on Instagram.
Yeah, it's
a good time to jump on.
Twitter.
It's
Jump on. It's
blowing up.
absolutely, yeah. Well, we have several conferences coming up. So
yeah.
so check out the website. Take a look at
Any
those.
East Coast?
We're planning on trying to get one going. I'm actually speaking at Crandall. This podcast will probably be out after that's happened.
Yeah.
I'm speaking there on November 4th. And
Actually, today you're speaking at.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
later today,
I'm
you're
speaking
speaking
at
at
Crandall, so come down to that. And that was sort of, with Acadia Divinity College, who's another sponsor of this podcast. We always go down to Crandall. We keep a relationship going with them. We have a BTH partnership program with Crandall
That's
University.
Bachelor of Theology for those of you who
That's a
don't speak
bachelor.
academic.
Thank you very much. I forget that. But so we go
I'm
down
here,
there.
I'm here to
connect.
represent the stupid people.
But that was also an initiative to kind of like, all right, let's get a talk and a lecture going and see if we can eventually get this into an East Coast conference and do some stuff. So we're really hoping to soon have something out here.
Let us know. We will
Absolutely.
promote it
We'll be
here
a
on
part
the
of it.
back corner for
Yeah.
sure.
Absolutely. Other official sponsor, of course, is Acadia Divinity College.
Indeed.
Give us 38 seconds on Acadia.
Well, Acadia Divinity College, equipping Christians to serve. So really a place where we are training pastors for the future church. And it's a phenomenal educational experience, but really it's a family down there. I feel like, given the size of the student body, Acadia Divinity College is only around 200 students. Professors and faculty really walk alongside you as a student, carry you to where it is that you want to be. It's such a large tent, big umbrella in ministry. You can serve in all different kinds of capacities, both online and in person. We say on site. We don't like to say in person because people online watching are people
You are a
too.
person too.
You are a person too. But
Like everybody right now listening
It's
to
the
us.
difference
But
between
yeah.
in person and with persons.
yeah, with persons. But no, truly one of the best seminary educations, the best. I'm going to say the best in Canada. You can't, and I really, AJ, you know this. I say that even not as a recruiter.
Yeah.
Like off the record, I say.
Well, for what it's, I
really believe we're
I
doing
was
great
talking
things
to
there.
a guy last week who comes from a very different theological background, or not like Acadia's roots are Baptist.
Does this rhyme with Schmathlick background?
It might.
It might.
And he said he thinks Acadia is possibly the best school in Canada.
Yep. There you go.
you go.
I wouldn't doubt it for a second.
Well,
Yep.
It was definitely in his top 2.
Yeah, it's
and he
great.
said maybe not.
He must have taken one of my classes.
I bet he did.
No,
He definitely didn't.
no, he most certainly did not.
Unofficial sponsor?
No.
Theological education in general.
Yeah, just get into it.
Learn some stuff.
Yeah.
You can do a course at a great school like Acadia or Kingswood University, or you could do a course or the entire MAP program here at Kingswood or here at King's Academy. You could, buy a book and read it. If you expect to have all your theological formation happen in the form of Sunday sermons or even fairly smart podcasts, you're missing out on a whole other pool of learning.
I think there's a lot of people that are getting a lot of theological formation from TikTok videos and little
Yeah.
shorts that,
Yeah.
I mean,
You're getting theological deformation
Yeah.
from TikTok.
Now,
Even
sure.
someone smart on TikTok can't adequately explain anything of substance in that time. Like they can, it can be a good teaser. It can be an appetizer. I'm not saying it's useless, but you got to like use that to go, oh, this is a thing I should look more fully into.
Well, I should say, I think there's been a sea change happening with that because we actually saw our highest enrollment ever this year.
Wow.
Which is surprising. Like, I mean, and that's bucking the trend because there's a lot of seminaries, Bible colleges who are struggling to keep attendance up. And the fact that now I was the recruiter during that time, I don't think it was.
I'm not saying there's a direct connection.
I'm not trying to take. As a matter of fact, I'm
not saying I demand a raise, but I'm saying you could make a case for it.
Everybody at Acadia thinks of themselves, at Acadia Divinity College thinks of themselves as in recruitment, and they do a fantastic job getting us out there and promoting us and doing whatever. But I do think that there's been a shift in people's thinking about theological education where I think 10 years ago, I used to use you as my example, actually, AJ, where people would look at AJ and be like, well, AJ Thomas, he just has a bachelor degree. Look how wonderful he is. And you let that go for a little while and you realize like you're a rare breed, man. Like, and you continue to learn.
And my bachelor degree is in theology,
exactly,
right? Like I know like a lot of people when they go to seminary, it's with a business degree or a philosophy degree or whatever, right? Like, so that's why people be like, oh, you don't have a 3-year master's? I got, no, but I do have a 4-year degree in Bible and theology.
And it matters.
At an undergrad level. But
and the truth is MDivs do matter. Like a Master of Divinity matters. It changes the way you operate in ministry, how you understand things, how you communicate. And I think people are coming back to realizing.
Yeah.
They're realizing, I need education. This is the gold standard. It has been for a long time and for a good reason. And they want it, right?
I think
they want to come and get that.
People are waking up to like the kingdom of God is not superficial and it's not shallow.
That's right.
And I think people are waking up to
very much so.
We got to dive deeper here. This is going to take time. It's going to take intentionality.
And it's nuanced. It has jagged edges, so to speak. I continue to. I mean, the last time I was here, maybe even the first time I was here, I know I was talking at your King's U about heresy and stuff. I continue to do that. That's what I'm actually talking about at Crandall, more from an apologetic side. And every time I dive into it, the more I realize how much ancient heresies are really the ones who are superficial and trying to simplify.
Right.
A heresy typically emerges when somebody wants to narrow down the mystery of the divine and try and give you like, well, there's a simple answer to it. And theology engages us more in this art of creative exploration. Like, no, you have it here, but if you go too far, you're going to fall off into the heretical.
I think there was a time too where there was whether it was great or not, there was a thorough sort of almost a cultural catechesis that happened. Like there was a baseline of Bible and theology that most people had, whether they believed it or not, they at least had it. And a lot of times the focus in education and preparation for ministry was much more on mechanics and techniques and skills. Right. And I think we're at a time now where, like, I've often said, if I had my education to do over again, I would have, and it was an option, it wasn't at the time, but I would have majored in theology itself.
Yeah, sure.
As opposed to practical ministry. Because like you can buy a book and find out how to run a program. Right?
Sure.
Like you can just do that on your own, or you can just get it. Like you don't need to run a CR or an alpha or something. Like you don't need an advanced degree. It's kind of prepackaged, but to understand the underpinnings of it all, and the theology stuff is what's not going to change, right? Like I think of how many things I graduated in 2000. How many of the technical skill stuff I learned 25 years later is shaky, if not completely outdated. Yeah, totally. But all the Bible and theology stuff is still true.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not going to change. That's a really good point.
You're a heretic.
This isn't to knock on practical theology, but I've often had that same feeling is that when we talk about practical theology too much, you separate it from what we used to call systematic, but really just Christian theology in general is practical and it matters. Yeah. And this is something I get into now more and more in apologetics is that there are different types of apologetics. There's evidential apologetics, there's classical, there's presuppositional and cultural. I hang out more in that presuppositional cultural area. So the Wes Huffs of the world are evidentialists. They know how to they're looking at manuscripts. Is it true? What are the facts?
To be clear, for those of you who don't know, Wes Huff is a co-worker of Ben.
Yeah, oh yeah, sorry, works with me at Apologetics Canada.
He's not just picking a random dude.
He's the big time guy, and but
he's the one you've heard of.
Yeah, he's the one you may have heard of. That's why I didn't need to clarify.
You may know me from such podcasts as the Joe Rogan Show.
Here's Morgan.
Yeah, exactly. But the presuppositional cultural side of things is where I think theology matters. Is that it shapes your worldview, and we have an issue today with our worldview, our presuppositions, then clashing with our theology, and then therefore not taking Jesus for as radical as he truly is. And you can see that thread, this is going back to heresy, you actually see that thread all through the early church.
Yep.
It's like the church emerges not in a vacuum, but in the ancient Near East, in the Hellenic world, right, of pluralistic Greek, Roman, pagan deities, the occult. And what ends up happening is that people hear this message of Jesus in some truncated capacity, and they smash it together. You have syncretism, right? Yep. They throw it together with their beliefs, and that's how you end up with Gnosticism.
Right.
That's how you end up with, Christian fan fiction, which comes in the 2nd century of, the Gospel of Thomas or Peter, people writing these things, and it's the same as today.
Yeah.
It's the same as today in the way that people, they just grab Jesus and put it in their potpourri of other beliefs, and they're just like, this is the Jesus I believe in. And you're like,
that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not that works.
He's actually a guy.
He's actually a guy, and that's exactly
he's not. He's not a.
You got to get it all.
A word for the idea that you can put meaning into, like he is. Yeah. What I think of with this stuff is like I think of an electrician, and you could go and do like some sort of simple training, like here's how you run a wire and hook it up to whatever, but to hook it up to something. But never understand the theory behind it.
Yeah, right.
And if in that situation, you can only do the exact thing you were taught how to do. Whereas if you understand the physics of electricity,
good
point. All the theoretical, and I don't mean that in a bad way, and I don't mean as in not proven. I mean the theory, same with music, right? Like I can play 4 chords, but I'm not good at theory, and that's why I can only play so much music, right? But like, if you understand that theory, then when faced with a novel problem, you have the tools to solve that novel problem, as opposed to just going, I don't know, man. In college, they said red to red, black to black, green is ground. I don't know how it works.
Absolutely right. And that is exactly what good pedagogy does.
Oh, I love good pedagogy.
Because, that's exactly, because if you ever confuse, and that's what's happening
caramel
with,
on top.
Just with
pedagogy.
Unofficial sponsor.
No, to circle back though on the unofficial sponsor, I think your point is super valid, and especially for new Christians, you've got to get into theology deep enough just to be able to learn to think.
We're not just giving you information.
Yes.
We're trying to teach you to take information and synthesize it into wisdom.
That's the word. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I wish I had a pithier way of saying that, but that's exactly right. You're taking, it's not just this wire connects to this. We're going to give you the theory and the framework, the worldview, so that you can plug it in.
And I think a lot of times people think that theology is not practical.
Exactly.
But it's one of those, like, no, actually,
these are separate.
Everything is theology.
Right.
You're living within it.
It's incredibly practical. You just now are able to confront, not even necessarily novel in the history of the world, but just novel to you things.
Yes, exactly.
Right? So, like, it's not just a question of, my Sunday school teacher told me once that this is how this is. Well, what if someone asks you a question they didn't cover there? You need to have the tools, the theological frameworks, tools, understand to go, okay, how do I process this question and arrive at a theologically sound,
precisely.
understanding.
Precisely.
So it's very practical. It's very much a tool you use.
Yeah, and that's why I'm worried that if we ever see that division where people think that's one thing and this is another. In the same way in academia, we've seen in the past a division between biblical studies and theology if they're two different disciplines. And it's like, well, all good theology is biblical theology. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, and anyway,
and all good biblical scholarship
is theological.
Exists within a theological framework.
Exactly.
Right? Otherwise, you get the whole well, if I ignore all the rest of Scripture and everything else we know about God, this passage can say.
Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we need to get a little more serious before we.
of course,
Speaking of important
back to
academic
wrestlers.
pursuits.
Ron, are you firing up the teletype machine over there?
Ron, the best producer
Yes.
in the entire basement and beyond.
What are you researching today?
Little less heavy. Do you guys believe in the rapture?
Hey-oh!
Wow,
Yes or no?
way to throw a grenade.
Yes or no?
Yeah, to be clear, Ron's research, it's just a yes or no.
Yeah.
It's just a yes
You're
or
gonna
no
get me in trouble.
question. Speaking
Buddy,
of
well,
which,
let's be honest. Of this batch of episodes, I'm taking the heat.
I'm pretty sure speaking of which, I'm pretty sure Apologetics Canada, don't quote me on this if it doesn't happen, but I think we might have Kirk Cameron coming on pretty soon.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure.
Nice.
I'm pretty sure he's up and coming
Yeah.
if he's not out already.
All right.
But
Hey,
look for that.
I like Kirk Cameron.
Unless I'm making promises that I can't keep. Anyway.
Rapture? Yay or nay?
Nay.
Yeah, nay.
That's going to be 3 nays.
3 days. Yeah.
Easy.
Well, let me. I know there's probably some people listening that their jaw just dropped on the floor. I would refer you to the Bible.
I would refer you to all of church history up until 150 years ago.
Yeah. So look, just do a little bit of a deep dive on dispensationalism.
Yeah.
Read what Revelation and Matthew 28 and Daniel, read what they are actually saying. I'm okay if you want to believe the rapture.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. To me, the big question is, how do you believe this whole thing is going to wrap up? Like that's not the primary eschatological question.
Read a good commentary on 1st, 2nd Thessalonians as well.
Yeah.
And get into some. Yeah.
And they will be caught up. Rapturo.
Yeah.
Right. There's been a huge developed theory based on that verse in 1 Thessalonians 4, where they'll be caught up and we'll meet him in the clouds, where Paul's talking about. And we don't need to get into all that per se, but you
What part
have
of yes or no don't you understand?
Well, I am just trying to help.
I'm just
because I know we just opened a can.
No, I get it.
And I'm trying to help a
I'm
lot
just
of
messing. Well,
there
a lot
might
of
be
people
ways.
I love very much,
Yeah,
and I
no,
don't want them to not come to our church because he doesn't believe the
no, they're going to
rapture.
not come to church because of what I said.
Well, there
last
might
episode.
also be, there might be ways of taking the word rapture and understanding it, obviously, in different forms. And this
Yes.
is exactly what you're getting into with dispensationalism. Are you a millennial pre-trib?
Yeah.
Or are you're getting into all that stuff. There's preterism and partial preterism, which is the idea that these things have been fulfilled already and whatnot. So this is an area I don't have a hill to die on here either, I would say.
In terms of, do I believe that Jesus is going to come like a thief in the night?
Yeah.
I sure do.
That's what I was going to say.
Exactly,
Do I
yeah.
believe that it's going to be sudden and people weren't expecting it? Yes.
Yeah.
But the idea of him taking the Christians away for a little while stuff unfolds and then coming back a third time, I don't lean that way. It's okay to me if you believe that, and I have some people I do respect that they take that position. Fine. I don't think that's the central question though, and it's been made too much of.
Well, that's why I'm glad you pointed that out, Brent, because I think a lot of in evangelicalism, dispensationalism, even though it's only about 20 minutes old, has been the dominant narrative for a long time.
Yeah.
To the point that I think a lot of people don't even necessarily understand that there's a difference between the idea of the rapture and the idea of the second coming.
Yes.
They think
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
synonyms.
Yes, and they're not.
And so, to be clear,
Yeah.
everyone at this table would die on the hill, I think, that Jesus is coming again.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm living for that moment.
Just how many times is the question? Again and again and again and again?
People
Or-
who believe the dispensationalist kind of classic, North American
Yeah.
rapture, actually, whether they realize it or not, are saying that Jesus is going to come thrice.
Yeah.
Right.
Not
I think
twice.
that's falling victim to a
three-peat.
maybe a overly literalist understanding of the scripture,
I
and that's
agree.
not to get away from the literal meaning of the text or even a plain reading of the text. But there's a little bit more context.
Back to the
there, too.
earlier point, though, of
Yeah.
learning like biblical studies and theology.
Yes.
One of the reasons that I have a hard time believing in the rapture as it's presented is it doesn't actually line up with the rest of the flow of overarching scripture. Even read Matthew
Right.
28, where
plug
Jesus
it in.
goes, when I return, in essence, he's saying, one will be in the field and one will be taken and one will be left behind. I'm not sure Jesus meant the one that's going to be left behind is the wicked one.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I see what you're
Like
saying. Yeah.
anywhere else in scripture, the ones that were taken, like were the ones that died. You know,
Right.
he talks about like in the times of Noah, in the days of Noah, right? The people that were destroyed were the ones that quote unquote like were taken in the flood, and the people who God saved were the ones that got to live on, right?
Yeah.
So anyway,
That's an interesting take. This is something I never grew up with either. Do you know, like it was never taught to me, so I never had that deconstructive moment of trying to figure that out. And the number of people who I encounter even now who have those stories of like, I came home one day and there was a lawnmower on the front lawn and it was gone. Yeah. So I immediately called my pastor, you know, and you're like, oh wow, I never went through that. So
it's important to note.
Yeah.
You're in the majority of Christians around the world presently, and in the majority throughout history.
Yeah,
like,
it was like the mid 1800s that this idea came out.
The minority position in Christianity is like this kind of idea of a rapture, and
So for less than 10% of church history,
with less than 10% of church people.
yeah, this has been an idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. It's just so I think even that's a reason, like, to dig into theology is because there's so many things that you just, especially if you grew up in church. I mean, if you didn't grow up in church, you need a foundation.
Yeah.
And if you did grow up in church, there's some stuff in your foundation that probably needs shored up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Or clarified or refined. And if you don't ever dig into things, you don't ever encounter, like, I'm not in, like, read wild, crazy heretics, but like read people who are between the ditches of orthodoxy, but a little different than you.
Yeah.
Like, if nothing else, it's just a stress test for your beliefs, right? Like sometimes you'll read that stuff and you go, oh man, that's a whole perspective I need to really chew on. And other times you go, no, I think that doesn't make any sense. And it just makes me all the more clear on what I do believe. Like it's not about, you need to change your beliefs a bunch, but like if they can't be exposed to dialogue with other people who love Jesus and believe the Bible, but see it differently
Absolutely.
and survive, like that's shaky stuff, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thanks for throwing a live one in
Yeah, that
here,
was a live one for sure.
in here, Ron.
Don't forget, weigh in the comments.
Can I offer one more promo too, by the way, because this is relevant to this, is that one of the things I do with Apologetics Canada is we have a partnership with YouVersion, the Bible
Yes.
app.
Oh, yeah.
So if you have the Bible app, if you're on YouVersion, the #1 used Bible app in the world, we are launching an Advent reading plan.
Nice.
25 days through December. Join
Coming
us
up
on that.
in a few weeks.
And that's much more of a what's the word I'm looking for? It's less academic-y. It's really more of a devotional.
Yeah.
That's the word I'm looking for. So, and it's more of a devotional thing, but it's just interesting because I've sort of, as I was writing it, I framed it within the idea that, we think of it about Advent as a countdown to Christmas, but really Advent was initially about the second coming. Right,
Wow.
It's not just about Christmas; it's about both. It's this is the inaugural thing with and again, how we talk about the incarnation is that moment is another thing that can be expanded on. But the idea that Advent is also looking forward to Christ's return,
Right.
and our patient waiting for that even now.
Kind of the
is,
idea we look back to his first coming as a way of anticipating his second coming.
Absolutely, that is proleptic.
It's called
We did that one
What's the
before.
app called? Or it's on YouVersion? Just
And it'll be just search Advent Apologetics Canada or Apologetics Canada.
We'll give that a
show
plug.
up.
Just like Wes Huff.
We'll give that a plug.
No,
plug
his
through
name
our
will
channels.
not be. It might be.
Only people with PhDs get to write these.
He's getting there. He's almost done.
Man.
Well, we're pulling for you, Wes.
All right, we got a couple. We got a couple more segments. This is a relatively new segment, at least since you've been on, called A Hill I'll Die On.
Oh, great.
Oh, what? Shoot, our soundbite didn't work. Oh.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
It did, didn't it?
A Hill I'll Die On. What is a hill you'll die on? You got one?
I can tell you, I might die on the hill of the fact that Anchorman might be, I would say, the quintessential comedy movie of, I don't know what era I want to give it, but like, don't you feel
The
like
last
that
era
was?
when there were comedy movies
Yeah,
that
like
were actually
when there
funny.
were
things were
comedy
funny.
movies.
Yeah, I would agree.
Anchorman really
It's-
feels like the pinnacle.
There's a lot of quotables in that.
It does seem to be pretty quintessential. I don't know. It's certainly not my favorite, but
No.
it is. I get.
Which one would top?
Geesh. I loved School of Rock.
Oh, that's a great.
I
Sure.
thought School of
But
Rock
that doesn't
was
fall
amazing.
within. That's almost like a family movie.
Yeah, it's
type,
not.
you
It's
know,
not as
uh,
zeitgeisty.
Yeah, exactly.
But I thought that's why I say like I wouldn't necessarily argue with the quintessentialness, but
Yeah.
Napoleon Dynamite.
All right, so I don't want to take away. You actually had a hill that you wanted to die on.
Well, no, you go. My hill ties into your hill, so you
Okay.
go with your hill first.
Well, so I don't know if we've discussed this on this pod, but I was talking about it with somebody recently, and I will say I'll die on this hill. I think Ben Affleck is the best Batman. I know that's a hot take. Now, and AJ and I clarified this beforehand. He made a good point. Not the best movies. I'm not a fan of the franchise and those movies. Or
He seems
is
more
it Abrams?
viable as like a Bruce Wayne slash.
First of all, Ben Affleck.
Caped Crusader?
Ben Affleck Batman is beating up all the other Batmans. Can we agree on that?
He did seem like he was a buffer Batman.
He is a buffer Batman. He is the jock Batman, but he's also a scientist.
I'm Jockman.
Yeah. I think I love it when actors impress me the most when they play straight. When they're trying to not be so multidimensional, but you have to. And growing up, and this is what I'm saying, the Nolan franchise are the best movies, clearly.
Yeah.
And I love that the Robert Pattinson stuff. Like I like the different
He's not
flavors.
in the discussion for me.
I like the
Pattinson.
flavors, but
I would say he's in like the top 10 film Batman of all time.
I got to go
Yeah,
Adam
hard time.
West.
Wait, I didn't say he's the top of the top. I'm just saying.
But you talk
you
about,
listed
for
10,
me
he'd be
growing up, like who is Batman? It's Ben Affleck.
All right,
Ben Affleck.
it's a hot take.
Yeah, I know.
I
think people hate on Affleck.
I
don't know
feel
why.
like Ben's Aspergery character from The Accountant could take him in Batman.
Now there's the thing we need to get AI
He
on.
needs a touch of the tism. That
Yeah,
his,
he's got a
his
touch of the
Batman.
tism.
Remember that like show Celebrity Deathmatch with like the claymation?
Yes.
They need to come up with use
Yeah.
AI for something useful.
Yeah.
And
Get the
have
Batmans
like,
to fight each other.
Well, no,
Yeah.
or have different guys' characters like the same guys but
sure.
different characters.
Like how the Batmans
so have the
fight.
accounnt fight Batman.
Anyway,
you know.
I'd say that's
Have Rambo
Can we
fight
all agree?
Rocky.
Can we all agree?
Hell,
Clooney's the worst Batman.
Oh yeah, I even forgot that he was in.
Exactly.
He is the worst Batman.
Exactly.
Never even saw that one.
Val Kilmer's was actually not
sneaky
bad. I
good.
think
Yeah.
he spoke about the fact that he purposely tried to play his like a soap opera guy. So he's like, if you watch that Batman movie, he's constantly with his hand.
Oh, okay, he
doing this all the time?
overdoes it.
Because he wanted to give the spotlight over to Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones as the villains.
Yeah, I
Maybe
do
an
agree.
excuse,
You can't.
but-
It's hard to extrapolate the Nolan movies because they're the best.
Yeah.
But I have to tip my hat to Christian Bale.
I'm the Nolan hands down the best movies.
Movies, yeah.
And I don't think Christian Bale was bad in them.
No,
But every time I listen to it, his Batman voice holds up less and less.
yeah, right.
It's like,
Like,
too much.
It's
too-
just so clearly.
too
I'm
rally.
wearing hockey pads.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
I'm not wearing hockey.
It doesn't like at first you're just like, oh yeah, like he's kind of got this low whatever. But then I've like over the years, every time I see one of them,
that's
I'm
good-
just like,
good point.
no, it's like it's not just sounds like you're acting. It sounds
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Batman is faking. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like it's not one of
totally.
those like
Yeah.
I know that's not what Christian Bale's voice sounds like. It's like
Whereas
I know
again,
that's
I will say I'll give it was Abrams
nasal.
with Ben Affleck. It's like a modulator, so it actually sounds like he's terrifying.
Yeah.
There's just like
okay.
good effect.
Well,
I'm
the,
not-
idea, the idea of like shifting your voice a little bit, but
Yeah.
it just I felt like Bale. It was like just a whole comedic level.
Yep.
Like I can drop my voice like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's sort of you can imagine I sound like this, but if I'm looking like this, like it's just ridiculous. All right, mine is related to that.
Wait,
Okay,
the reason Adam West is the best
yeah.
is because
he's rocking that spandex.
that spandex was
That's true.
100%
That was just like his underwear.
pure West. It was just
They're looking at pure.
just
West.
pure West. And going back to your 70s
Totally.
bod,
The only
that
Batman to dance.
this is what a chiseled man
yeah,
looked
that
like
didn't
back
stick.
in
It
the
was like, look at that strapping guy, you know.
He had some love handles.
My favorite
and-
part of that one is the painted eyebrows. Like
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
like a
man.
pencil drawn.
Yeah, the level of nonsense if you watch back on that show is
One of the
supreme.
Yes.
One of the things you got to love about Batman in general is like it works. That character and that whole thing works as the like darkest, grittiest, nastiest
true.
thing ever,
And then
the
campy.
most ridiculous,
Yeah.
campy,
Yeah.
like lighthearted.
It's true.
I need my bat shark repellent, and you're like,
Yeah.
Jumping Jillikers, Batman.
like
Yeah.
Get
what?
the batarang.
Like I don't think I don't know. Like I love Wolverine. Might be my favorite superhero of all
Yeah.
time. I don't know that even Wolverine can get pretty gritty, but I don't know the same level of gritty. Like the world he inhabits doesn't get that as gritty as Gotham. But also you'd never get like, I need my Wolverine shark repel. Like that's never going to be a thing.
Yeah.
He's never going to have a. Yeah.
See, Batman has the whole range. You're right.
All right.
What's your hot take?
Heath Ledger, not only the best Joker, but there should be a moratorium on having the Joker in any movie till the current generation passes away.
Oh wow, that is okay.
I think anyone else attempting that is doomed to failure, and they're stupid for doing it.
Yeah, don't touch it.
I won't agree though. Because I love the attempt. I love people going after and trying to do because now you have that bar. I agree, you have that bar. And the only way you're going to be able to do it is you got to be radically different.
You love it or you're amused by it.
Like I think you're partly saying it too because Leto was such a bomb.
Yeah,
like he was
and the
so
dude
bad.
from whatever Joker, that movie.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, like just to me, it's one of those. Is like
too soon.
If you hadn't had Ledger, Leto would still be pretty. Maybe Joaquin Phoenix's would be like an interesting. I didn't love it either, but to me, it's one of those like there's certain like songs that whatever. Like if Whitney Houston did that song, you should probably just not try to do that song.
Exactly.
Like give it
I don't hate that
decades.
Give it a moment.
And that's kind of how I feel like.
Yeah, actually, that analogy helps.
It distracts from the movie.
Yeah,
like
fair enough.
You're not my dad. Like that kind of thing.
It's just one of those things where you're sitting there going like, well, that's not the Joker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. As opposed to like with Batman, you can go, that's a different take on Batman.
Yeah.
But with the Joker, you're just like, nope, that's not it.
Yeah.
It just, to me, I feel like that was such a definitive performance and such a, again, I was not massive into the Batman comics, but to me, it feels like it is one of the things the Joker is.
Yeah.
Yet also a lot of originality to it. And just to me, it's just one of those like, no, that one, like, don't keep trying. Like that one's done.
Well, that was unprompted, by the way.
Yeah, nice. Well, I'm going to round
both
out the
brought up
movie
Batman.
takes.
Okay.
It's not in the Batman universe, but here's my take is this. Oh no, I turned it off. I'm struggling with my sound effects. I gotta fire that back.
That's too bad too, because that sound is so pleasurable.
Wasn't that? Did that take you right?
It takes me right there. It takes me
immediately to Middle Earth. I was just trying to turn it down a little bit.
Pretty happy.
Here's my take. Samwise Gamgee is the real hero. In Lord of the Rings.
Is that a thing people argue about?
And that's a hill I'll die on.
We'll be right there with you, brother.
Yeah, no, and I'm coming with you.
And my sarcastic comments.
He's the real hero.
Absolutely.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, okay.
I had this debate with a guy once, and they're like, but Frodo carries the ring. I'm like, but Sam carries Frodo. Like,
right.
Exactly.
And Sam carried the ring for a minute. And Tolkien himself said in a letter that Samwise is the real hero in Lord of the Rings. So
brilliant character.
If you've, the best.
Yeah,
just the best. He really is the heart of what Tolkien was trying to get at, is like just like home and family, simplicity.
Exactly. Good meals, festivity.
Day. Yeah.
What was the thing I saw the other day? Sam Gamgee like hiked all the way through whatever, braved the fires of Mordor and the orcs and all this kind of stuff just to try to get the courage up to ask out a girl who already said she liked him.
That's also good.
What's her name? Is it Pants? Rosie?
I don't know the
Rosie
world well
Pepper.
enough.
Yeah,
Rosie Pepper.
I don't know.
Pepper.
Is it Pepper?
But yeah, like that's the whole, because he gets back and they like.
I should know this.
Amazing.
It is
should.
Rosie. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you guys ever see that remake of the end when people recut it so that Frodo's getting on the ship to go off to the Elven lands?
Oh yes.
And he turns and then it like cuts to her like this evil grin. He opens his hand up and he's got the ring.
I have not.
I was listening to something recently about this that I thought was amazing with Lord of the Rings, and so I'm not a major. I love Tolkien. I love Lord of the Rings, but I'm not like a sci-fi dude who's read all the books and done all this stuff. Okay, I haven't spent my time there. But somebody was talking about just
what have you been focusing on?
Differences. Yeah, exactly. The Bible. Wow. Key differences with Lord of the Rings and like just other mythologies and like Game of Thrones, for instance, and everybody going crazy about that, and just the difference between the and how I can't remember where I heard this, but I loved it. How in Game of Thrones, like everybody is utilitarian in their ethics. They're just like whatever works out. They're pragmatists. They just want what's best. If it works, for the greater good, whatever. Everybody in Lord of the Rings is a deontologist. They're rule-based ethic. right? So they do what's right despite the pragmatic outlook. So there's a scene where Frodo is able to kill Schmeagol,
Yep.
able to kill Gollum, and he doesn't. He stays his hand. It would clearly benefit him to get rid of Gollum, but it's not the right thing to do, is how he feels. And I never put it together, but then you realize that how does the ring get destroyed? And in our minds, if you're not really that deep into it, you're like, well, Frodo throws it in the... No, he doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
He fights with Gollum, who tries to take it. And in their struggle, Gollum falls.
Yeah.
And because he stayed his hand, the ring is actually destroyed. And I just loved that, like that weaving together that Tolkien makes of...
That's never clicked for me. That's
you know what I mean? Isn't that
totally.
cool?
Like if he would have given in to the temptation to kill Gollum, then he would have succumbed to the temptation to keep the ring.
Yes.
That was
Man, that's brilliant. Isn't that brilliant?
Yeah.
And Tolkien does that where he's like, in that last moment, Frodo actually doesn't have the strength and capacity to do
go.
it. And this is by
having done the right thing in the past saves him in the present.
I'll stretch that analogy to a picture of the atonement. This is precisely how the early church.
You're making a connection between Lord of the Rings and Jesus? Hot take. Let's go.
Well, the idea of Jesus tramples down death by death, right? So in the early church, people like Gregory of Nyssa, for instance, gave us an image of a greedy fish. Definitely top Greg. Only second to his brother, Gregory Nazianzus. But they talked about a greedy fish who takes the bait of the cross, right? And it was this idea that death itself undoes itself. Like it's death that takes down death because it gets tricked in a sense in the illustration.
Death gets too big for its britches.
Yeah,
Picks
exactly.
a fight it can't
And
win.
that's what Tolkien's doing.
In Romans, right? I think it's in Romans where it's like, if the powers had known,
Yeah,
they would not have crucified
precisely.
the Lord.
Isn't that powerful? That thinking about that, just
Yeah.
like had
Dude,
they known, had they
deep.
only known, but in their ignorance.
That's deep.
I like that.
That is
I like
deep.
that. But then when Tolkien can weave that.
Tolkien invented, I didn't realize this. I knew it was like he was early on this, but he legitimately invented the genre of fantasy.
Really?
Yeah.
Like straight up, it did not really.
He's the first guy.
Him and Lewis, basically.
Yeah.
Like
So what differentiates it from
Like
other-
dragons and elves and orcs and all that. Well, it's not mythology.
Well, that's what I mean, because like St. George and the Dragon would have existed.
Yeah.
For,
It did create the current category as we know it now. I forget what kind of pre-existed. Like George MacDonald had some stuff that was, mythical.
It'd be interesting
all
what
the,
the
all the
borders of it
elements
are, but that's cool.
that he put together were, I think, pre-existed.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
Putting them together in that format as something that was, I think part of it too was that there's a great episode of The Rest is History on Tolkien that
Nice.
fun, but I think the idea of it as a genre of literature that was not in any level assumed to be true.
Yeah.
Like he was big on all the Norse mythologies, but they were actual mythologies, like seemed to, if not be literal, at least have some deeper truth that related to the origin of the, like, you know what I mean?
Right,
Like
yeah.
myth in the
Man,
deeper sense.
Just a brilliant guy.
A book that would behoove you is called Myth Makers. It's by John Hendricks, and he kind of outlines that, like basically Tolkien and Lewis's relationship story, Lewis's conversion, and their whole evolution and learning how to write myth and fantasy and all that. It's a phenomenal book. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I'd like to get that guy on the back corner someday. Actually,
I listened to another episode of The Rest is History just a couple of days ago about dragons.
Oh yeah,
and they were talking about how with that too, I believe like Tolkien was one of the first kind of modern authors to actually bring in dragons and that kind of stuff. Like, but that just fascinating. What a
Dragons.
All right, overrated, overhated.
Okay.
It's everyone's favorite segment. Can you make that out?
Overrated.
Yeah. All right.
That's good.
Yeah. So got a couple. Set our first one.
Yeah.
Up.
Well, so as of this recording, yesterday the Anglican Communion split in two.
Yes, I saw this.
And so now the GAFCON folks have basically declared that they're the real Anglican Church, and Canterbury
which basically is Anglicans that are not part of like England and North America.
basically, I think, yeah. And there are individual Anglicans in North America who would identify as being part of GAFCON. But in terms of like the infrastructure, you would know this better than I would, Ben. But my understanding is basically it's a split between kind of theologically orthodox Anglicanism and more progressive Anglicanism.
Yeah.
Theologically orthodox Anglican being represented by this organization called GAFCON, which is the Global Anglican Futures Conference.
I think so. I honestly, I'm just catching up with
something
all
like
this,
that. And then the Archbishop of Canterbury is kind of the figurehead of what's just been called the Anglican Communion worldwide. Big split yesterday over, basically adherence to historic Anglican beliefs. And I
Mostly around gender and sexuality and marriage.
I think that's been a lightning rod, but I think that's been seen as speaking to a deeper issue of fidelity to Scripture and fidelity to the 39 articles of religion that frame the Anglican faith, that kind of thing. So that also seems to reflect a relatively recent split that happened in the United Methodist Church over very similar issues. And interestingly enough, the Orthodox group within Anglicanism has taken as their name the Global Anglican Communion, I think. And the Orthodox group within United Methodism became the Global Methodist Church, which is intriguing that they both picked that, because in both situations, the strongest voices for orthodoxy came from Africa, the global South, versus the strongest voices for the progressive stuff came basically from the white West.
You made a great point. I think you should bring up. I really do think that's worth talking about.
I thought this would come up too, because I saw your post on Facebook and I went, this is gonna.
So one of the things that fascinates me in all this, and I was tracking a little closer with the Methodists than with the Anglicans, but it seems to be a similar reality, is you have a group of predominantly affluent, white, highly educated Westerners who are a minority in both of those situations, both those worldwide denominational families, pushing a progressive agenda. And then you have a predominantly black and brown, formerly colonized, generally at a significant financial disadvantage.
Comparatively, anyway.
Yeah, comparatively. I'm not saying they're starving to death, but, if you ask me, is the Bishop of Outer Splabovia doing better than the Bishop of Canterbury? I'm guessing not, right? As a majority of people basically being told by this smaller group of white affluent progressives, you, in effect, are not developed or advanced or evolved or smart or sophisticated enough to arrive at the same understanding of Scripture as we are. Not even the same understanding of Scripture, same understanding of truth, because it requires a certain abandonment of Scripture to get to those places. Which, just the irony of that blows my mind. That these are the same people who would love to lecture you on paternalism, who would love to lecture you on the importance of decolonizing things, who would love to lecture you on how the plight of brown and black and poor and globally Southern people should move us all. And when push comes to shove between their progressive beliefs and having to go, the majority of these people who are othered, that the majority of them must be wrong and we must be right. Like the irony of that, it is hilarious and heartbreaking at the same time. And to me, it just shows the bankruptcy of that worldview to go that, so that's what you think when it makes you look better. But when you have to pick, between getting your way and going, these people are on equal footing with us and a democratic approach is best and they're every bit as smart as we are, we go, no. We'll pat you on your little brown heads and say, we know better.
You'll know someday.
Someday you'll get to the point we're at. Like, it's so funny. It just, like, again, ironic funny, not a problem funny, but it's just like, you just sit there and you go, like, really? Do you have a mirror? Do you know? Like,
back to Ben's earlier point, though. I mean, that's a good picture of how death eats itself. Like that. You see this a lot in progressivism, especially like just the the irony and hypocrisy that
snake eating its own tail.
Yeah, the snake eating its own tail kind of thing, where we're I'm trying to pull a good example. Like we're I don't know. You guys can probably find a better example than I can, but like there's been many times where they've advocated for one thing in the name of whatever, and ironically it's the exact opposite of what they're saying they're going for.
Totally. I mean, the notion that a majority, again, because generally, and I like democracy, but generally progressive types are more oriented towards democracy than some sort of autocracy.
Yeah.
And would go on at great length about the importance to listening to the experiences of fill in the blank with all the persecuted and disadvantaged identity politic driven classifications of people you can come up with. And then when it comes to this issue, they go, no, you guys are wrong. You need to get in line. And what I've observed, and this is maybe a little bit of my baggage, not just my observation, but a lot of times those kind of super progressive Christians, I won't even talk about in the unchristian side of the world, but their claim is that they are the most compassionate.
Yes.
But it ends up being a self-serving compassion. Mm-hmm. And when you see it, when the rubber meets the road between, is this going to make me less popular with my friend across the street who believes that recycling should be the next sacrament and that same-sex marriage should be a wonderful thing and celebrated and all that kind of thing? Or do I have to pat a bunch of Africans that my country used to colonize on the head and say, you are not sophisticated enough to understand the truth of Scripture? I will pick to do that instead, because that compassion was all about, I mean, this term gets overused now, but it's a virtue signaling thing. It's works righteousness, right? This is how I demonstrate how good I am.
Yeah.
Not how do I actually just care for other people. And it shows the hollowness of that ideology, that it is I'm not saying there's no compassion in it, but it seems that at the end of the day, it's a self-serving compassion as opposed to a self-sacrificing love.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a good point. I'm obviously deeply saddened by it as an Anglican, just seeing disunity given the fact that we are asked by Scripture to be of one mind, and how important unity in fact is. But of course, this has been brewing for a very large time. I always think about my former supervisor at Wycliffe, Ephraim Radner, conservative Anglican, and had a ministry for years in Burundi before becoming a professor, and wrote a book on the division in the church, and specifically speaking to the Anglican Communion years ago, called The End of the Church. And
sales just spiked.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's important to read,
paper.
Actually.
What was the name of that again?
His way of figuratively reading Scripture to talk about it being, the division within Israel, being the figural idea of the division within the church.
As the northern and southern kingdoms?
Yes, literally. Because it's the only example you have in Scripture of a division amongst the body. And the idea that Israel is figuratively the church is, I think, an appropriate way to read Scripture. But it really, I just think, I remember his voice being very much one of holding on to the remnants of, the way in which this unfolds, and there's a lack of control that we have. But it's interesting what you're saying about, I think it says a lot about what motivates people and how our human nature. Yeah, I'm deeply influenced by the thought of a thinker named René Girard, who was a Catholic thinker. Yeah, semi.
Who's bringing Catholics up on this show?
You're not doing that, are you?
No, not this episode.
But he wasn't a theologian. He was an anthropologist and a literary critic who ended up converting to Catholicism as a result of that work. And what's so profound about that is he used to talk all the time about rivalry and what causes division, and the idea of scapegoating. And you see this, I think, in your example of what you're saying, that the ancient proverb of the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And we get this notion that, like, we look at division within the church and we go like, well, religion causes issues and it causes division, it causes war. And René Girard was so helpful for me in flipping that around and saying, like, no, war causes religion. It's actually our primal instinct to be at conflict with each other and warring, right?
Cain and Abel.
Cain and Abel. Look at Noah, right? And they were violent continuously. And it's out of that religion comes to try and placate and to do things. But, and this is Girard's whole point, is that then those religious systems can be predicated upon violence itself. Right. And Jesus comes to undo that. And so that's part of the whole narrative that he's talking about. But when you take that into consideration, it's funny that what you see is this incredible compromise that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any common sense. Like you look at it and you go, yeah, another example right now is like Queers for Palestine.
Yeah.
And you go like,
There's an example of what I was trying to...
These people would murder you instantly. What are you talking about? And you realize the only reason why somebody under that ideology could also align themselves with Hamas is because they're both enemies of the West.
Yeah.
And the moment you have a common enemy, it doesn't really matter what your division is.
That's right.
You will bond together and find a way to, and I just see it in the way that this irony works itself out. In apologetics, we often face backlash too about just the way in which apologetics is sometimes carried out. And we live in a pluralistic culture and society where in the West, our concern is very much, how do we build bridges with our neighbors of other faiths? And look, I'm all for that. I want to have a conversation and I want to be able to speak openly with those people. But it's funny, the moment we, at the school specifically, get international students who come from India, who come from Africa, they go, I don't want to, this isn't about building a bridge for me right now. This is about apologetics and convincing them they're wrong. Because when you're living in a culture where you're surrounded by, I'm being persecuted by these Muslims. This isn't, so our concerns are different.
I think why
would you try to figure out how to be better friends with the thing that is attacking you?
Yeah, whereas I want to argue that this is wrong.
And not as in fight back against the people, but fight back against that ideology, that philosophical, theological system that's generating that harm.
And it just highlights the kind of, again, our cultural zeitgeist, the place that we see ourselves in the West, and how, sometimes our sentiments and our, the way in which you're talking about, like it starts from a place of empathy, really, but then it's like, to use the Jordan Peterson example, like the mother bear is very protective of her young too, and will claw your throat out if you get too close.
I was speaking at
a
leadership conference at a predominantly African church. I mean, as in the people went where I was here in Atlantic Canada,
right?
And they were asking me questions about sharing their faith in a pretty progressive, pluralistic cultural context. And I just straight up told them, I said, we need you guys because you are allowed, because of the color of your skin and your country of origin, you are allowed to say things more directly than we are.
It's so true.
And you can box people into a corner where they have to tell a black guy he's wrong.
Yeah.
And
otherwise they feel
or that you're not allowed to be that passionate about you can't I can get in trouble for being not pluralistic enough. I mean, I will, but I mean, it's.
But the issue will move there,
right?
Whereas
they'll
focus on
them, you'll see them doing this thing where they're like progressives, their head will explode because they're like, "How do I tell this?" Which is what, again, boggles my mind with these splits.
Kobayashi Maru.
What is that?
That's a Star Trek. Was it the Unwinnable?
Oh, Kobayashi. Go there. Kobayashi.
Progressives get there all the time, but they will ultimately choose which is back to your original point.
At the end of the day, it's
I will son the whole global South.
I will self-serve eventually
for the sake of what I think is right.
I love what you said about the whole Ben, about the whole idea of war causes religion, because that tracks when you look through history at how often within empires trying to bring people into some sort of religious alignment was a tool of maintaining the peace, right?
Totally, right? Yeah. Orthodoxy was trying to put the boundaries on unity, right? It wasn't trying to point a finger at heretics and be like, burn them at the stake because they're bothering me, right? It was, with that.
Even if you look with the Roman Empire, like that was one of their objections to the early Christians is you will not get on board with this religious system that seems to, which was big, it was pluralist or not,
which involves emperor worship, and they went,
but
no.
That's what ties this whole thing together, guys. And if you don't get on board with that,
I think it's another
you're a
profound
threat to the peace.
I in the time that I really spent diving into Girard, that was another huge eye opener for me where, like, when you look at these conflicts, when you look at the conflict in the Middle East, and they seem irresolvable, like there's no answer. Clearly, we can't just, it's not simple. And it might just sound abstract, but it's like, it's as simple as the answer is Jesus. And I know that sounds like a non-answer in some ways, but Girard helped highlight for me that it truly is. The only answer is the self-giving love of Christ. It's specifically in the person of Christ. And what he highlighted for me was, when Jesus says, I have come not to bring peace, but a sword, that precisely what Christ is doing is allowing, like Girard said, those religious systems are sometimes predicated on violence. Yeah. They're predicated on the scapegoating of others, and it brings a collective harmony amongst the group because we point at a third party and we exclude them and we're against them together. And Jesus is saying, I won't ever play into that system. I won't allow for it. But what that means is that I'm going to disrupt your social cohesion. And therefore, Jesus, I think, knew totally well that he said, I am actually coming to divide you all. Like, you will turn against each other because I will not compromise on the love and truth of God. And I think that's a hermeneutical lens. I think that's a way of understanding the way God acts always, is that God cannot lie. God is truth, love, good, truth, beauty, goodness. So when I'll even relate this to, like, when you see in the Old Testament something like he hardened Pharaoh's heart, and you have that whole question of, like, really what you're really encountering, I think, is God acting in the only way God ever acts, which is through truth. And that will make the heart of Pharaoh obstinate. Right. And that means my truth, my good, and my action will harden your heart. And that's 100% my responsibility because I made it happen. But that was on you, buddy. Yeah. Right? And so it's a both and. It's like, he's not going, zap, your heart's hard. Yeah. He's going, I will only ever act with justice in truth. And if that means that you get upset and kill everybody, blood's on your hands. Yeah.
That's one of the best explanations I've ever heard for how God can be the cause of something, but that person can still be morally culpable for it.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
heard it here on the Back Corner Podcast.
Yeah, hey.
But I think that was a Girardian insight, I think, for me, is that it's like, oh wow, and the willingness. So then this actually it traces. There's another person who was central to my dissertation named Donald McKinnon. Donald McKinnon talked about the tragedy of the gospel, and this idea of tragedy influenced so much of his theology in the way that he was going, like, the gospel, it led to the anti-Semitism of the Holocaust. Right. Like, there's a direct correlation. Now, is that saying that that's what Christianity brings? Absolutely not. That's the hardness of our hearts. Right. But because we don't accept Jesus, we get Palestine and Israel. And until you come to Jesus, the self-giving love of Jesus, who lays down his life, you will always have cyclical violence, and there will not be a solution.
Trying to process, so we kind of frame this in overrated, overhated, and like I don't really want to give a answer. I hate to see the church fragmenting. Yeah, but to your point, if that is as a result of the heart, like the hardening of the heart or the loss of fidelity to orthodoxy, then I say so be it. Like, it's like, I guess the kingdom's moving this way, the king is moving this way, and to the degree that the Christians on planet Earth align with that, and the ones that are quote unquote Christians that aren't, like, it's like expel the immoral brother. It's like that. I guess that's how it has to go.
Exactly.
Is unity better? For sure, but not at the sake of fidelity to orthodoxy, right? Like, it's just like not unity at all costs.
Well, and that unity has to be anchored in something, right? And that's where it breaks down, right?
Like, I do think, like, though,
when Christ prayed that we would all be one, he didn't just mean that we would come up with some version of some club we would all be happy to carry membership in, right?
Yes, exactly.
Like if so, we would have started Blockbuster.
Have you tried that, Anglicans?
Yeah. Kingdom unity, though, is supposed to be it's supposed to be built on, like, a revelation of Jesus, the fear of the Lord, and then subsequently, back to your point of, like, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I think one of the reasons there's so many church splits is, like, it's it's a lack of revelation and the fear of the Lord, and then subsequently a lack of motivation under his, like, the Great Commission, the commandment. Like, I find church splits happen in churches that just have too much time and margin on their hands, too much space to not, to major on the minors.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like,
yeah.
I actually like even the fragmentization of, like, in our society. I thought it was one of the funny things in that Matt Walsh, What is a Woman video, where he goes to those tribes in Africa and he tries to import some of the the argument things that we do here in our society.
Which is a typical argument they use, right? But they're like, well, other, like, tribe people, they use this.
They're just like, what are you talking about? We got to go get supper. We got to go hunt like some
Don't you have anything
zebra.
to kill?
Do you have nothing better to do than to argue about
what do you have, running water or
what is
something?
a woman?
I got to go get a jug.
I just think there's a correlation there between the comfort and margin and affluence, to your point, of our society, and I think the church is within that, especially, like, it seems to me, I could be very wrong on this, it seems to me there's far more division and fragmentization in the church in the global West than there is in the global South, the East. Like,
I think that's always what's worried me about the progressive movement, in the sense that, and, like, look, I want to come at that by, like, I want to allow for the space for people to express their the reason, the questions and why they, and obviously there's a poor way to do that on the conservative end, and we failed miserably in many ways. But that, in a sense, when you look at so many of the progressive issues, you realize that they don't ultimately want them to be solved.
Right.
Because if they were to be solved, then you'd actually have nothing to stand for anymore. Right. And then
and there's industries built into that too,
and that's
right?
Like, it's like, and because of that motivation,
it
raises so much suspicion about, like, well, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Because, and anyway, I
think humans are wired to want a cause.
Yes, exactly.
And that's my point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And when people lose track of the cause, they have to make up other causes. And I think it's not lost on me that it seems, I haven't done some academic study on this or whatever, but it seems to me from fairly significant observation that churches, denominational groups, whatever, that pick some of these progressive things as causes generally gave up on the notion of evangelization.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
Previous to
it just
that.
drifted off somewhere. Like,
I don't mean like they had a meeting and decided, but it's like they stopped doing that. And I think, honestly, like, it just at some point they were like, what do we do now?
I've had hundreds of conversations with pastors and church leaders that are struggling in their context about, like, how do I, we got people that are arguing over this, or they're, like, upset about, pews versus chairs and carpets and paint colors, and, like, how do you do that in your context? I'm like, it's just not a thing.
No.
Yeah, it's just
not a thing.
Your
Like,
people
it's
need
like
to be more overwhelmed.
We're way too into doing
Exactly.
Genuinely.
we're way too deep in the, like,
if
the
a
deep
church,
end.
so a couple things I want to say here, and then I'll be done on this topic. But one is to that point, not all church splits are created equal,
Yeah.
and there are hills worth dying on.
For sure.
And if
The
you're
filioque clause.
if your church is splitting over something that is not ultimately a question of heresy,
Yeah, right.
biblical authority, the faith handed down, level stuff, then that's stupid.
Yeah.
That's not good at all. And I would say, to just echo what you're saying, Brent, if your church has shouldered, whatever you want to call it, the mission to reach, the evangelistic responsibility for your community, for doing everything within their God-given power to bring the kingdom in your community, you will not have time to argue about carpet.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact you'll wear that carpet out soon enough, you'll get to try the other color pretty soon anyway. The other thing I would say is even when those, as you're listening to this, it's about 4 days past Reformation Day, and the anniversary of the Protestant Reformation. And I often will see people say, Happy Reformation Day. And I'm always like, No.
No,
it's not.
We had this debate the day I came to Wycliffe College, 2017. That was the debate we had did a pub theology night. It's where you sit down with the faculty, and that was the first question, because it was exactly 2017 was the 500th anniversary, and it was celebration or lament.
Lament.
And it was lament. I was amazed.
Yeah.
Ephraim and myself, I think, were the two laments, and most people were saying, you celebrate because you got out of something that was bad, and change needed to happen. It's like change needed to happen. I believe reform needed to happen, but I will never celebrate.
Yeah, it's again one of those
division.
so be it, so be it.
Well, this is what I always compare it to. Like, imagine your parents were in love for years and years and years, and something went horribly sideways, and there was abuse, and divorce was necessary, and it was the right thing. Mm-hmm. You would not celebrate the anniversary of that divorce.
That's exactly what I
You
would
would
say.
take a minute and mourn,
Yeah.
and pray that God would bring some sort of restoration there somehow, knowing that restoration can't come in the form of compromise. Like, it can't be like, well, you just need to be willing to be abused again, or whatever the thing is, right? Like, it's not about going at all costs, but it's just, God, you need to make a way where there is no way, and that's what I'd like to see happen. And so, I would say the average local church split is pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Denominational church splits are more frequently around issues of substance. But even if it is the right move, it's not a move to be celebrated.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Agreed.
Well, so it's both overrated and overhated. It's a it's a tough one. Yeah. This one might be a little easier. The apparent surge in religious interest and engagement following the death of Charlie Kirk. Overrated, overhated.
Very interesting. I don't know if I can put a title on it exactly, but I do believe that this is both huge opportunity and also very dangerous.
Agreed.
And this is exactly where I'm watching what's unfolding. I was just in the United States, by the way. I was in Wisconsin. It was a eye-opener in terms of just American
cheese production?
Politics. Yeah, in terms of cheese production.
I don't want to take this in a weird direction, but if you guys tried some Wisconsin cheddar.
But are we really claiming the poutine? Because they're doing a great job over in Wisconsin. No, it was culturally a shock. Like, and I don't know why. Maybe I didn't expect that, but of course it was.
It's pretty MAGA country, isn't it?
Yeah. And actually, Wisconsin is a blue state, I believe, still. Like, I mean, they were talking to me about the fact that they're like, this is actually quite a liberal area. But the church I was in was pretty mega country. Yeah. And I wouldn't say like resoundingly. I
think it's a swing state, and I think it's largely in in Milwaukee and like the metro areas.
I had friends who lived there during the first Trump administration, and they found it quite difficult.
You'll appreciate this. I mean, I preached this sermon to a congregation that had like straight up security team at the back, and like, we're
that's
talking
standard.
Earpieces. That's standard, right? Yeah. I mean, that's exactly. And at the end, I went like, "Yeah, I've never fired a gun," and they were just like, "What?
Give me your man card."
Exactly. So we went to a gun
But you're married
range.
to a girl, right?
So they took me.
Really?
Yeah, they took me to maybe one of the most state-of-the-art gun ranges in the country.
It's fun, isn't it?
It was cool, yeah. And I was trained by the best of the best, like this guy. Anyway, but it was quite eye-opening in terms of, and that conversation came up. You know, I mean, they were like, "So was Charlie Kirk? Did that affect you guys in Canada?" And I was going, "Of course, yeah." Like we heard about it, and there was this massive movement. And I'll go to the memorial. Mm-hmm. I watched some of it. There were moments there that were very powerful.
Yes,
there was his wife saying, "I forgive this," and which led to Tim Allen forgiving his father's killer. I know you saw like there's some beautiful things that came out of that. There's also a lot of really dangerous nationalistic othering going on.
And I'm proud to be an American. Yeah,
it worries me greatly.
Yeah.
That and this is something that, again, theology helps do, is get you into the nuanced conversation of exactly how do we handle this? Because the rhetoric might sound good for a certain while. And it really highlighted to me this idea of like the wheat and the tares really grow together.
Yes, they do.
Like this is, you're mixed in with this whole thing. And we are way too binary in our thinking about, the moment you say anything in direction of this, that means you're one of them. You're one of this group. You're in that. You're this team, and we're this team.
It's going to pull you into that, or try to, right?
Absolutely.
I think Christians need, though, to be able to your wheat and the tares, like picture. Like, if you find yourself on these issues, standing in a field saying this is all weeds,
exactly.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
And if you say it's all wheat, you're wrong. It's like you need to be able to like, that's a tare, that's wheat.
Yeah.
That's a tare.
I mean, the point Jesus was making there, as I understand it, is that the issue is trying to separate that stuff too soon. The specific wheat and tares, which are people, but not having an understanding of what wheatness is and what tareness is. Right. And so, like, the idea of being able to say any public figure is a Christian or not, loves Jesus or doesn't in their heart, ultimately the outcome of their ministry will be good or bad or whatever, like that's dangerous. But being able to say this specific idea that they are promoting is a tare, right? Or this truth they're proclaiming is a wheat. Like I think like Jesus doesn't go, how dare you think that there's wheat and tares? He just goes, don't harvest them yet, because you're going to kill some of the good with the bad, right?
Right.
And so, like know what wheat is, know what tares are, being able to evaluate that. It's the same idea as when Jesus talks about judgment, and people think that means like don't have an opinion if somebody's idea is good or not. It's like, no. Don't think you get to decide whether they are in right relationship with God or go to heaven or hell or whatever else based on that. But you can still go like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Like the idea is.
I do think it was particularly, it highlighted for me as well just the unbelievable difference between Christian thinking on this topic and others. And I mean that to say I was alarmed by how many people were celebrating the death of this individual.
Oh, man.
And Robert
Crazy.
Barron, Catholic Robert Barron, wrote, Bishop Barron wrote
great.
a fantastic article with the title, which I feel like summed everything up for me, which was, he died with a microphone in his hand. And that's all that needed to really be said. I wasn't a particularly big fan of Charlie Kirk. I don't need to be. That has nothing to do with it. I'm not even that invested in American politics the way he would be. But the point is like, I would have had many critiques. Doesn't matter. He died with a microphone in his hand. And the fact that wasn't registering for a lot of people, it both disturbed me and yet brought me back to a sort of realist place of like, why would you be surprised?
Yeah, it shows evidence of deep societal sickness.
It does.
For sure. Like that you can't just objectively weep when somebody is cold-blooded murdered in front of his family.
Exactly. And in that sense, that's where I go, hopefully this has awoken some positive things. And I do believe good will come out of it in the way that we recognize like, wow, our values really need to be looked at and questioned, and we need to understand where we're coming from.
I'll be celebrating any conversions that come out of this, any ground that truth can take in public discourse, but I'll also be watching with a degree of hesitancy on how, the kingdom of man will try to sneak in the back door. On like
exactly.
If you watch
just
the
know
memorial.
that it's there. Know that it's there, right? And be aware that it's there.
To your wheat and tares, trusting the Lord also in all this. Like when I watched that memorial, I didn't watch the whole thing. I watched some of the worship, which was really moving.
Yeah, sure.
You're seeing people being exposed to that, to true like good Christian worship. Great.
Yeah.
What she did was phenomenal, I thought, as far as like the fact that she could get up and do that. There's all kinds of tinfoil hat stuff about her taking over the company and people critiquing her and stuff. Like, I don't think that's fair, but the fact that she publicly forgave that man was massive, and that's kingdom. That's gospel. But also, then when you see them friggin' do the fireworks and the full-on MAGA stuff, Trump comes out and trumps it up. But there was a clear differentiation between like Trump and Christianity in some ways. Like he was saying things like, Trump,
I wouldn't be able to forgive him. I don't know.
I wouldn't forgive my enemies.
He's a bad guy. These are bad guys.
I hate these guys. You got a great Trump. But yeah, like it was like, oh, good. You keep talking, Trump. Like keep doing that, because you are at least in a very.
This was something I realized being in the States. Again, like I'm just trying to observe people and just sort of take in like how they respond, how they feel. Why is the culture? Because I think from here, I might have put my foot in my mouth the first night that I was there because I was being asked about what do you think about Donald Trump, and I went like, he's crazy. You know what I mean? Without really thinking about but he's obviously, to a Canadian, I think that's obvious.
Yeah.
I don't like him or hate him.
I wish it was obvious to
Yeah, I
all
wish
Canadians.
it was obvious. Well, and the thing is that
Are you serious?
and he was, I was talking to one guy there who was going like, I think you needed Trump up in Canada. I was like, really?
I think you
that's what we
wrecked our
need?
last election, actually. So
But
thanks.
that aside, and that really, forget my own opinion on this. Who am I? I was just observing and making sense of it, why that has taken root. And I get it. I do get it. I don't think I'm not saying I'm for it, but I understand. You see some of these guys, and they're good people. I want to also say that they're good.
It's good intentions.
Gosh, they're good people. They're family oriented. The hospitality was incredible. Everything was great there. And you think like you walk in, like I walked into this church, which was, let me just say, there was a real masculine presence there. Yeah. Like you're talking dudes,
Man church.
They're packing heat. They got beards and sleeve tattoos, and they're some tough dudes.
Yeah.
There. And many of them are ex-military. Some of them are cops. They've served in tours in Afghanistan. They've protected this country. It's America. The idea of like there's flags everywhere, right? I mean, this idea that we fought for this country, do not tread on me. You take all of that, and then they come home from Afghanistan and go, what am I fighting for? And someone goes, we're putting litter boxes in schools now because my son identifies as a cat. They go,
no.
Give me the toughest guy you got in the White House.
Yeah.
And it makes total sense. I'm not trying to give a pro or
it.
con.
I think
you see the development of thought there.
The issue, though, for Christians right now, especially in the States, is like, I think this is a moment where we really, back to the prior conversation we had, we have to get real clarity on what is the highest good and highest goal.
Yeah.
And like the win for a Christian, like, we want to see Canada and the United States flourish, obviously.
Sure.
But that is not the goal.
Amen.
Like the goal is the kingdom of God, and those are two different things. I was in England a while back, as of today, and I was with a guy who I was the only Canadian with a group of about 20 American pastors, and I was pleased by the level of nuance that those guys, because a lot of these guys had like half black, half white churches, and so they're really in the mix of it. And one of the guys is a pastor in Texas, and his church is largely on like military bases.
Okay.
And so it's all SEAL Team 6 guys, and
I got your 6.
yeah, and like, but he was saying I was trying to help them see where their allegiance is, and I gave an illustration, and it really jarred a lot of guys. He said, he goes, one of the fastest growing Christian populations is in Iran. And he goes, let's just say we go to war with Iran, and you've got the American flag on your shoulder, and you're fighting for America, and there's a guy across the battlefield who is from Iran, and he is a believer, and he's fighting for his country. Who are you loyal to?
Oh,
like,
yeah, big
right?
question.
Like,
That's great.
yeah, and it's like, oh no,
Yeah.
because like within America, like that guy's going down, right? Like, but because the assumption is it's Allahu Akbar, and like we're here to blow you up.
There's
Exactly.
Americans sometimes will talk about God and country, but they do it. They say that in the wrong order. If they're being honest, a lot of the
that's
time.
right. It's country,
Exactly.
country, and
Country,
God,
God.
and God's here to affirm my country.
Americans are most important, and then of those, American Christians are the next most important.
I think that's my big fear in all this is just the.
Well, and that's a type of syncretism too, of seeing like that. That really they just believe that American values are Christian values.
They're
That's why
synonymous.
America's,
Right.
and we can fall
America's
into that,
right because Jesus voted for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
No,
No, seriously. Yeah. No,
that's what I was
absolutely.
going to say. The thing that like I had minimal exposure to Charlie Kirk before he was murdered, and like you, Ben, the minimal exposure I had didn't inspire me to want to pursue more exposure.
Sure.
I don't have any reason to think that his faith was not, totally legit and valid and all that kind of stuff. And I don't have any positive or negative thing really much to say about his ministry. but I do know there's definitely a potential conflict of interest between his Christian apologetic vibe and his political activist vibe. I think those are two things that are very dangerous to try to do simultaneously, and he seemed to. And I think you saw that even in the response to his murder and in the memorial service. There's the Jesus part, and then there's the conservative America part. And I think the thing that makes me nervous about the response to that is that it will ratchet up the syncretism between American patriotism and Christianity, as though those could never be in conflict and one is the same as the other.
Right. That'd be my worry too.
At the same time, against my natural instinct, I keep coming back to that whole "nevertheless Christ is preached" thing, and I go, you know what? If a bunch of people, my prayer would be a bunch of people that tuned in to hear Trump wound up hearing something of the gospel instead.
Yeah.
A bunch of people who bought a Bible because they think that's what good conservative American patriots do will read it and actually find the real Jesus. That a bunch of people who went to church because Charlie went to church, and if they're going to vote like Charlie, they also want to attend church like Charlie, because that's what being American is. Dang it! That actually will be exposed to the real gospel, and that it will be somehow God unsyncretized. Like the risk of syncretism is you're taking something that isn't the gospel and trying to mix it with the gospel. You could argue there's also a potential opportunity.
You might get the gospel.
There's a potential opportunity within it that people who came for the thing that isn't the gospel actually find the gospel.
Absolutely.
And that is happening.
For sure.
So we got to celebrate.
It's also one of the great strengths of Christianity. You could debate. I mean, the term syncretism can be derogatory, or it can actually also mean something else. I mean, there's ways in which Christianity's great strength was its ability to absorb and reorient
the
and change.
Side of that.
Exactly, and take.
We had a great chat about that in the last episode.
Did you? Yeah. It's an important one.
No, absolutely.
Overrated or overhated Frodo?
I don't feel he doesn't receive a lot of hate. I feel like people.
I think he's overrated.
I think he's overrated.
Yeah, maybe overrated.
We all hate him. Sam's the hero.
I wouldn't sweep him. But he's overrated.
No, he's great, but maybe overrated.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Do we want to? We've had a thing on the conspiracy corner for like 5 episodes. We haven't got to yet.
Well, let's do it.
Do you want to do it?
Yeah.
All right. Do you have that video?
We had some other deep conversations, but this has already been pretty thick, man. My brain's starting.
We might have time for one theological question.
Sure.
Let's see what we got here. You got
this strong evidence that there were gigantic nuclear explosions on Mars before we even knew Mars existed.
I love the gear shifts of this podcast.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Surface of the planet, there's all sorts of geology very similar to Earth. That there's plenty of speculation and evidence to suggest that they used to have oceans and lakes and rivers and all these other things that would go along with a planet that had the crucial elements to sustain life. And the question has always been, well, what happened to it? The atmosphere is completely different there, and it's completely different because it is non-existent. So when the Curiosity rover went to Mars, they're noticing was this
that
element
is a kind of difference.
Called Xenon 129. The only places you find it is a nuclear explosion. They find it all over the place in Hiroshima. They find it in Nagasaki. They find it all these places where they've done nuclear testing before, and that is all over the surface of Mars, and at levels 2.5 times the highest ever recorded on Earth.
Well, I'm really glad that was brought to you by Barstool Sports.
That's the first thing I was going to say is just where you want all your your science coming from.
Yeah,
the good people at Barstool Sports. And for those of you who are listening,
it's just as random as what we're doing. I mean,
picture 2 dudes who are talking on Barstool Sports, having and you've got it in your mind.
So nukes on Mars.
Yeah, but hey, is it possible that there was an ancient pre-existent civilization?
I'm going to go ahead and say no. I'm going to go quick answer no. The thing with that I'm interested in is, and where I would want to hear a scientist speak to this is it not possible that certain natural explosions, like we're talking like planets running into each other, can be as cataclysmic as a nuclear weapon? I mean, like there's not something unique necessarily about a nuclear bomb is there or is there
Well,
not?
it's the splitting of the atom, right?
Right. So,
the
which
radiation.
I guess can't happen. So, the reason why I asked too, and here I'll relate this to theology. I always remember learning about. So apparently, there's a chemical compound. I might sound like an idiot talking about this, called trinitite. That is like a residue from nuclear.
Trinity?
Yeah, well, from Trinity Site, New Mexico, where they fired off nuclear bombs in the 1950s, 60s, whatever it was. And that this was a thing that was found there. Well, they've actually, interestingly, found that same chemical compound of trinitite in Israel, where Sodom and Gomorrah was.
Yeah. Right.
I was there. I was with Craig Evans.
So you're saying that the Martians nuked Sodom and Gomorrah?
Bingo. No, but the idea that that led archaeologists to concur that, and it was is the name of the current area. This all was in 2015 that I was there on these digs, and so I'm maybe misremembering stuff. But my point is they were drawing a correlation between this compound trinitite,
Whatever happened,
and whatever happened
Clearly
there.
some sort of massively catastrophic destruction, not just
So it
somebody
makes me
kicked over
think:
a lamp.
do you need a nuclear weapon, or
does
could
it
it
have
have
to be
just been
our
Or-
or
technology?
was it God?
Yeah,
Or was
the,
it
the Martians?
sodomite?
The Martians were judged by God. That's why he. That's
They were
why
getting
he.
up to some things
That's
on
why he
Mars.
flooded Earth, and he's like, I nuked the last one. They never came back from that. We're gonna go. There's no boat's gonna keep you safe from one of them bad boys. So we're
Mars,
just gonna
we
go
just-
hard rain.
we got rid of Mars.
Hard rain for 40 days. I can get a few guys through that.
That's true.
Well, okay. So
And these are the
let's-
reasons you need to study theology, so you can tell that we're joking right
Let,
now.
That
let's-
was great.
I'm not going to joke here.
All right.
Okay.
No, I am.
yes.
I kind of. I should put the tinfoil
You
hat
think
on.
there's aliens on Mars?
No, I don't. But let's just pretend. Let's just go with the concept of old Earth, ultra old cosmos.
Sure.
Like we've talked on many episodes.
yeah.
Obviously, I believe God
Day age
created
gap
everything.
theory. It's all
Yeah,
in play.
and
Yeah,
everything could have been just for billions of years.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somewhere in that.
It is as old as science thinks it looks.
Yeah. So let's say that that's true.
Yep.
Is it plausible that maybe there was a time where Mars was closer to the sun
Right.
and maybe it was
So
inhabitable? Maybe
this is all entirely.
but hold on. Let me,
okay,
let, me,
yeah, you
let, me,
gotta-
let me go a little further
you
here
got more.
to
Okay.
get
I'm
real in the
sorry.
weeds.
Sorry, I should not have cut you off.
And maybe there were people living there. Maybe it was a whole thing. And then in Genesis 2, you get, and God created a garden. Could it be that the earth is said garden?
The whole earth is the garden.
Oh, that's an interesting take.
Oh.
But then so when they were exiled from Eden, they are
Well, I mean, there's a garden in the garden. Of
there's
course.
a garden within the garden.
Well, now, see, I like
No,
the
okay.
idea that Mars
Is
was the garden.
was the garden, and then they
And then when God kicked him out, he nuked Mars. That's the whole angel with the
dude.
flaming sword, right? That's what that's
yeah.
picturing.
Now you got me.
There
Yeah.
it is. All right.
Well, hey,
Looks like we solved it.
All right.
we did solve it.
Coming
I
soon to
tell
a
you-
King's Church membership class near you. This is a part of the doctrine you got to sign off on.
Obviously, you guys have talked multiple times in this podcast about aliens.
Definitely.
Definitely. And so
As recently as last
as
week.
recently, you're all aware of the Fermi paradox. You've heard of
Yes.
this, right? I'm
Yep.
sure you've talked about that as well.
I don't remember what it is. Give us the quick.
The Fermi paradox is the idea, basically, that if aliens did exist,
right.
we would have
We
been
would have heard
contacted
from-
by them by now.
Mathematically.
Mathematically, and again, it's not it's definitely not a concrete answer.
Yeah.
It's a kind of posing a question to raise doubt about it. I've always just kind of leaned into that because it's pure speculation, and I'm choosing to, not based on anything else other than because when people go, the probability that there's life out there is it has to be astronomical because of how expansive the universe is and how many billions of planets. And I would say the only thing that I ever hear mathematically more astronomical is life on planet Earth.
Yes.
Like they're both
Astronomical.
mathematically infinite
Yeah.
in a sense. Like the number is so mind-boggling it goes beyond any comprehension.
Yeah.
So I'm a person who bets my chips almost fully purely on speculation, like based on nothing other than the way I feel, because I believe this is that type of choice. There are no aliens.
Yeah.
That's
I
just
would-
my decision.
Officially, if you'd like my official, I actually don't think there are either.
Yeah.
I think that the expanse of the universe is both in part God's lavish beauty and design, and why not? But also, the nerd in me thinks we may terraform the cosmos throughout eternity.
And 100%.
And like, I mean,
This is one of those, like, I could be wrong.
forever's
for
a
sure.
long time.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Or is
like-
it? It's not time.
But like all that to say, like, imagine the mysteries that the Lord has hidden for us throughout the cosmos.
Yeah.
Here'd be my take on this, completely unscientifically. If
This would be the
Mars,
first non-scientific take given at this table.
Usually I'm coming in pretty hot and heavy with this, the settled science. But I think they got the logic backwards. The idea that Mars has no atmosphere because it was, in effect, exposed to massive doses of radiation, which is what a nuke would do.
Right.
No, if you don't have an atmosphere, the massive doses of radiation that are constantly coming off the sun
just the
bombard
sun.
your planet constantly. And then you've just got comet impacts, right? Which you can see those. I watched a video the other day. Someone actually captured a comet hitting the, or not a comet, but an asteroid hitting the moon.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's like, yeah, like if that planet's been there for however long it's been there, like that explains all the craters and stuff. Now, the seemingly growing body of evidence for there having been water at some point on Mars, I find interesting. But I also am a skeptical enough person to go, the notion that a planet may have at one point had H2O equals there was probably human level intelligent civilized life there. Like those are the things like I always love when they go, like, we found evidence of life on Mars. It's like a bacterium.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
right.
A tardigrade.
it's something. But it's not like, I think people hear that and they picture like, so when are we going to go talk to them?
C.S. Lewis and the Space Trilogy. Ever read that?
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Back in college.
Oh, yeah.
But like his whole thing in the first book is like that his protagonist goes to Mars, and basically there's this dying off civilization. Like it's the time of Mars is ending.
Yeah. I've heard that. Space.
So if you, while we're doing speculative science, let's do some speculative theology around this. If you had to make a case for the existence of alien life biblically, what would you base that argument on?
Geez, you'd have to maybe base it on the idea that like the angelic order is not divided transcendentally by like a separate realm, but that it's included within the
They're
material.
another location, not another dimension.
And actually, you're probably not making too much of a leap in one sense in theological conversations about the nature of, what is the supernatural if it is not that which also absorbs the natural. Like we're not talking about a pure divide here.
Yeah.
And I think actually that conversation is
that's
more
now you're
relevant than we might
singing Brent's song.
think.
Well, that's even though like in back to the Space Trilogy, C.S. Lewis, like as soon as the protagonist gets off Earth, like basically the concept is Earth is under the dominion of the evil one, and so like connection with the spirit realm just isn't as simple.
It's broken on
and
Earth,
as
but
soon
not
as you
broken
get out
throughout the
into
universe.
into the heavens, which is space, and he's immediately starting to be able to connect with angelic beings, basically, and he's having free dialogue with angelic beings on Mars than the one that's in Venus. And anyway,
well, in that sense, I don't find it too far fetched. Like in one sense,
basically, like the devil's put a cone of silence almost, like he's the prince of the powers of the air over the earth.
And I also believe that is something that we're asked to confront in the sense of like we tend to juxtapose, the material and the transcendent, the infinite and the finite, and that really it makes more sense to say like, well, the infinite is that which also includes. And there's actually a major conversation in theology about pantheism, panentheism, dual understandings of, so like how does that all work out in the sense of like
pantheism many
is
gods, panentheism, everything is God? Is that kind of the idea?
No, pantheism being everything is God. That's like Oprah religion, just like we can worship the trees.
The midi-chlorians are in everything.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's just all things are God. That was, and
Polytheism
it was first
is many gods.
Polytheism.
Pantheism is
everything is God, which is it's attributed often to Baruch Spinoza. So the philosopher Spinoza.
And panentheism is God is in everything.
God is in everything, and there's the difference.
One God, but He's in everything.
Precisely.
Versus
now,
everything
some
is its
would
own
squash
little God.
those terms together I just interviewed Michael Horton actually with Apologetics Canada, and I think he'd be somebody who would see those quite aligned, and that panentheism is equally problematic in that sense. But there are others who use that language who I think are well worth listening to, and what they're again trying to say is there has to be a way. If the Logos is John 1:1, all things are made through him. There is a real sense in which Christ is in and through all things without collapse. So it's not that he is to be identified with. And it is also not to say, like, we also want to affirm the doctrine of creatio ex nihilo, that God creates from nothing. And if you have the doctrine of creatio ex nihilo, it's almost a safeguard against diving too far into the pantheistic stream. But Stan Grenz once said, as a historian, he said, or as a theologian said, that the history of theology can be marked as an oscillation between immanence and transcendence. That what we do is we constantly, and this is the dual nature of Christ, right? Christ is two natures, one person. He is both fully human and he's fully divine. And as a result, that's not just a statement about a guy named Jesus. That's a statement about our metaphysical construct of the universe and our way of understanding being itself, because Christ is that big for the Christian. And therefore, theology is constantly between the two poles of kind of moving too close to the human side or too close to the divine transcendental. So for me, when I was, getting taught theology and you're studying people like Karl Barth would have been like transcendence. Let God be God. God is over here and you are not God. Okay? But then there's another side to that. Not to say Barth didn't include this in his theology, but there's another side to that where that is also, God is so imminently close to us that we can't see him either. And that actually he absorbs so fully the finite that's what Christ is that like you and I are going to be like Jesus. And that absorbs all of that, everything that is human. And I would say that there's a world where I find the terminology is just, most of the time it's a witch hunt to point at people. But panentheism in that regard actually makes a whole lot of sense to me.
We sometimes don't think about, like, when that scripture says, that Christ is reconciling like the whole universe to himself, that God in Christ is reconciling all things to himself.
Exactly.
I think of that in the macro sense.
Yeah.
But not in the, maybe sometimes like the,
well, even you look where
the micro sense.
Paul talks about Christ in you, the hope of glory. Like if Christ can be in me, then why can't he be in all
good things created?
In plants.
In all his creation in some way. But in the same way, him being in me doesn't make me worthy of worship.
Yeah. Right. Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's a different thing.
It gets perverted, right?
Or like in him we live and move and have our being, right?
Yeah.
Like we're in him, he's in us. But
and that's been I like that we got here from this question. But
what about the aliens?
But what about the alien? But that's exactly where...
What did somebody think of the aliens?
Not that I could at all resolve the inherent paradox, let's say, of Christ's two natures. I mean, that's the work of all theology. But I've tried to clarify this in the past, that I think sometimes when we say paradox, we wrongly think that what we mean is just seeming contradiction that can somehow work itself out. It's only apparent to be a contradiction. Or sometimes we're as bad as actually thinking these are contradictory things. And therefore we pit the divine against the human.
Right.
And we think of it like, well, that's oil and water. How do they mix? And let's unfold that mystery. And it's really not that. That I think what's being said is that a true paradox means that by virtue of the difference, they are more fully what they are. So if that makes sense, that really what I'm trying to say is, and I remember I said this in a sermon at Deepwater once, and somebody kind of was like raised an eyebrow about it, and rightfully so. I'll explain it. But that like Jesus is not just human like me; he's more human than me.
Yes,
he's the fulfillment of what it means to be human. I'm on my way to getting there. Right?
We are less,
and with
human
his
than
help,
Jesus.
I'll make it there. But
that is such a profoundly like challenging thought to the way you think about his humanity.
And precisely to add to that, just to put the kind of final point on it, because I believe this is Trinitarian theology, is that what you're saying, therefore, is he's fully human because he's divine.
Right.
It's not in spite of.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's because he's the fullness of divinity, his humanity is at its most full.
If the end goal of humanity is union with God,
Exactly.
right?
And
than the
so
one
often-
who is already perfectly is in union with God because he is God.
There's where a recovery of patristic theology is so important, and it's because it
right.
expands.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, right. Well, it expands our understanding of the atonement to this much greater, rather than this transactional.
Yeah.
Jesus died. I mean, and that's all important, but then it adds this: God became man, that man might become God.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean God, Yahweh, but it does mean you. How do we enter into the heavenly kingdom? Flesh and blood will not inherit, Paul says. And that's not Gnosticism. That's he's talking about this superior reality that we're all heading toward. And it's precisely that we have to see the two natures not in competition with each other, but as saying, no, they define the other.
It's similar to, I think one of the times you're on, we're talking about, is it kenosis?
Yeah.
And like
That's
that
my
idea
gist.
too, right? Like
Yeah.
that it's been a shift for me in the last couple of years, thinking, so we were talking about extrapolating the divinity and the humanity of God.
That's right.
But also like thinking about that in terms of the gospel. And then when you think of, God, Jesus humbled himself, not in spite of the fact that he's God,
exactly.
but because he is.
And that's
he
in
went
the
low.
canonic hymn in Philippians 2, 5-11. What you have is the tu morphe theo, though in the form of God.
Yeah.
He takes the form of a slave. Now, and the juxtaposition of form, okay? And it's precisely that idea that, so now vice versa, the way that humanity defines divinity also comes into play, where God is fully divine because he's able to be human.
Crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's where it's like, when it says like Jesus took the form of a slave, it's like, why does he take the form not just of a person? Why of a slave, a doulos? Why slave? Because that's what it means for God to be human. Like that's the,
this.
there's the mind-bending reality of it. But I love this notion of getting people to like really think about it as they're defining each other. And that's where I'm just relating it to where we started, is this idea of,
So back to aliens.
it's within the Trinity. All the ancients, the Cappadocians were great on this. So that's Gregory of Nyssa, the great Gregs.
I love a good Cappadocian.
Yeah, you love a good Cappadocian. Basil
On a cold,
Caesarea.
cold winter day, a little cream,
All right, what are you talking about?
That's a cappuccino.
You know what
Cappadocian.
rips, bro? A Cappadocia.
But they were great on the idea of the utter difference between the three persons and their utter unity, and holding that together in what we call perichoresis, the idea of the mutual indwelling of the person.
And I think we touched on this on maybe our last episode with Amy, but like you can't fully, like the Father is not fully the Father unless expressed in relationship to the Son.
You can't be a father without there being a son to be the father.
Within the bond and boundary of the Holy Spirit.
Oh man.
It makes me think of, there's that old kind of theological adage, which we usually think of more in terms of like lower level actions of God, but like people, God can do anything. Well, God can't do anything inconsistent with his character.
Exactly.
But the flip side of that is that means everything God does, he does because it is consistent with his character.
Absolutely.
So, which is, that's the shallow approach to that idea you just talked about, is go like, well, why would he come? Because that's consistent with his character.
And that's where the early church never. There's another thing actually with panentheism, is that one of the issues people get wary of is that then that means there's a God dependence. Like, right? Does God create the world? Does he need to create the world? And of course, like, no. The answer is he doesn't need to. What the early church, the language they would have used is it was fitting for him to do so.
I love that word.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fitting.
exactly,
Yeah.
right? And it's because it's not arbitrary. Like, we have to understand God also as freedom in himself, right? So anyway,
I think of the word.
getting to
I think of it's a huge word, right? Glory, like like it can mean so many
right,
things, right? But when you think of like when God's glory filled the temple, it was his presence,
right.
Right? It wasn't just people giving him credit for something, or it wasn't just people tipping their hat.
Yeah.
Like it was a manifestation of his presence.
Yes.
And if you understand verses like the whole earth is full of his glory,
Yes.
like we often, I think, picture that as like the space, the unoccupied space between the things in the world.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
functionally the air.
It's like ethereal.
Right,
Yeah,
but it's like
ethereal.
a tree can't be somehow full of his glory, or if it is, it's like no, it gives him glory.
Yes.
But no, like I think if it's full
Yeah.
of his glory, that speaks more to his presence.
Yeah, exactly.
Like than just it acknowledges him, right? Like it's different than the rocks crying out, the
Yeah.
rocks being full of his glory, right? But
If you get the chance, this is all reminding me, there's one paragraph, 2 pages in Orthodoxy by G.K. Chesterton, where he just lays out maybe one of the best verses in all of theological exploration where he just talks about this very idea, and I'll not be able to put it like he does, but basically saying,
Well, it's because you're no Chesterton.
I'm no Chesterton. Gosh, no. But he, saying Christians were the only ones who believed that somehow omnipotence was a lack, like that because the only thing the only thing God was lacking was lack itself. And that it's like, how could he do that but by becoming the form of a human and a slave? And the whole paragraph ends with him saying, where, calling out atheists, being like, let the atheists then, rail against the God they want to, but our God became for a moment an atheist, right? It uses this language of like, for a moment, our God forsook himself in order to become the fullness of what God is. Wow. And it's just one of these, like, read that and it's just so powerful. It's just one of those, like, you're recognizing the tension of the whole of the cosmos just involved there.
So if I had to make a case for the existence of aliens theologically from the Bible.
Over to you, AJ. What do you think?
Well, mine will be far less sublime, but my first thought would be this. Fitting, we'll go back to that word fitting.
Yeah, sure.
If God is creator and is that creative, it would be fitting for there to be, we see this infinite diversity within creation on earth of life specifically. It would be fitting, not mandatory, but fitting that he would have done more.
Yeah.
That there would be a world where there were still, like we got these carbon-based life forms here. Maybe he did one with silicone-based life forms. Right. Maybe he did one with whatever, like inorganic life of something like that there would be room within an infinite universe of an infinitely creative God for there to be more than one planet worth of life.
He seems to like manifold beauty too, right? Like that.
Yep.
It's not even within humanity that is, I guess the pinnacle of his expression of his glory on earth. It's still, you've got different colors, shapes, sizes, cultures. Like even within that, it does kind of limit him a little bit to just say, and that's all he did. Yeah. I don't know. It's you make a good case.
Then my other more proof texty and packing even more into it than the Mormons do, where Jesus talks about, I have sheep of another pasture that you know nothing of.
There.
Oh, yeah, sure.
That basically he had to go and be incarnate or whatever in other planets,
that's an interesting,
other life forms.
Well, I think there's a case
they think it was
too.
The Native Americans, but
some of the theology I'm most interested in right now revolves around...
Is this speculative craziness I'm spouting?
Well, no, it revolves around our notion of what the incarnation is and how we kind of limit incarnation to like... when I say incarnation, we just think of Christmas. You're just like, so he became a baby and he's now... And it's like, well, it's way bigger than that, and it was for the patristics, right?
Yeah.
Like, you can't read Athanasius and get that. It's actually... And so there's a guy, another Catholic guy named Jordan Daniel Wood, who just wrote, he wrote a book, which was, I believe, his dissertation got published, called The Whole Mystery of Christ. And it's on Maximus Confessor. And he has a whole thing on how what Christ is doing is incarnating himself continuously in all aspects of reality.
And who's to say that he wouldn't multiply that in a bunch of expressions?
I could see how it'd be connected. I know I'm throwing stuff out there that's like half-baked, but it's,
incarnated himself as a Nazarene on planet Earth.
Exactly.
And as a lion.
So I kind of hear you there. Like I do.
As a lion in Narnia, as an eagle
it's just
in Middle Earth.
On a universal scale.
Yeah.
As much as big as Earth is, it's pretty limited. It's pretty finite.
Think of the richness of this conversation and how many people are going to miss out because they turned it off the moment I said Affleck was going to be bad. They're missing out. I just know they're missing out.
This has been good. You got one more chance to talk about movies. We're going to do Mountainous Top 4 to close things off.
Okay.
And top 4 movies that make you cry or made you cry.
Yeah, I'm glad there's a specification there.
Top 4 movies. Let's say made you cry, because although some of these
because we're men and we don't cry like multiple times.
Some of these I will cry every time.
I wouldn't say this necessarily for me, but I've heard this before. The number one movie that men cry at, this is probably an old survey, but the number one movie that men cried at was Field of Dreams.
Wow.
Which is because that movie is about a father-son relationship more than it is about baseball.
Right.
That's right. It's anyway. So I wouldn't say that for myself, but I always thought that was interesting that I heard that before.
Who wants to go?
I'll go first.
Yeah, you probably got
I
a list
actually I
ready.
only have 3.
Okay.
Okay.
I cannot.
You're not a crier.
I'm not a crier.
We call him Crybaby Baghdaddy. I wouldn't have cried.
When you've got a history of depression, you're just not looking for things to make you cry.
Fair enough.
Like just the general way I feel inside is adequate most days if that's what I need to do. But no, I would call back to earlier, the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, where Sam, it was like, I'm going alone or whatever. And like, oh no, I'm going with you. Like that scene, I've cried at that more than once. He jumps out in the water and grabs onto the boat.
He's gonna drown. He can't even swim.
Yeah, it's just such a pure like loyalty and friendship, and I think there's something beautiful. Like 99% of the people in your life need to respect your wishes, but there's like this 1% that have earned the right to disrespect your wishes when your wishes are
they love you.
Yeah,
that
when
much.
your wishes are stupid.
Yes.
And that's just such a beautiful capture of that, of going like, no, like you're again, I don't remember the exact quote, but something like, I'm going alone. Yes. And I'm going with you.
Yeah, which is why he's the best character. And
Oh,
we
yeah.
will die
No,
on
it's
that
totally.
hill.
Yeah, easily. The other two, perhaps a little more surprising. Both Adam Sandler movies.
Oh, he can get you,
dude,
man.
I know.
He can
I'm gonna.
get you.
I'm sorry. I can't see the lip. But I'm gonna guess.
I don't have these ones written
I'm gonna
down.
guess one of them.
Which is it?
Click.
Nope.
Click
Really?
gets you, dude. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure I've seen that one.
That's
That's
that one.
my father-in-law.
If you have
He's
kids,
like,
that
that's
one
the
will-
one he would cry at. Yeah.
The Wedding Singer.
I don't recall it.
What?
I could be the one
Oh yeah.
who grows old with you. Like just such a real
It's a great
expression.
movie. That's a great movie.
Well, and that's such a, like, it's not, whatever, like, it's like, we're going to get old and it's going to be gross and I'm going to be with you through it. Yeah, like, it's not, I just, very seldom in pop culture in general is, like, old people loving each other celebrated.
That's a brilliant. I'm pretty sure Adam Sandler wrote that song himself,
no doubt.
obviously, but that is a beautiful song.
Like, it's not like I want to walk with you on the
Build you a
beach.
fire when the furnace breaks.
Yeah,
so
it's just
I could
very
be the
like
man.
real day-to-day stuff.
Yeah.
And
He's a sap.
Give you the remote when you're feeling, like
like
it's all the
well, and
daily.
He gets into like old age and stuff too. Like
His Farley
something
song.
was it some baba when your arthritis is
That'll make you
bad.
cry.
Yes,
The Farley song?
If I put that in a movie,
No.
I could add it to my list.
My wife,
I
Melissa,
cried at
and
the Farley
like,
song.
I truly love Adam Sandler. I think he's a glower.
I do
I just
too.
think he's like one of the. And I know some people, like my dad, would be like, "Why? He's not funny." But we do that constantly.
Why was that? Charlemagne.
Yeah.
He was on SNL. Someone said
Coney.
Timothy Chalamet
Chalamet.
sounds like
Yeah.
something.
Chalamet.
Yeah. The other one, and this might be the weirdest one, the movie Big Daddy,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
where
Two Sandler.
the kid needs to pee.
Oh.
and
I
he's-
don't. Yeah.
and he pees. Like he just stands there. And, like to me, that's such a
Wow, that would get you though. You're
dude.
crying at
It's
that.
getting me
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Like
That's-
it's such a grounded. Like that's real world fathering.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I just do it.
It got him.
Whenever
Yeah.
my kid needs to
I
face,
love
I'll
it.
face
Oh,
it with
yeah.
him.
Yeah.
And it's a dumb thing. He just
Yeah.
has to pee outside.
Funny, that's
yeah.
beautiful. I love
is,
it.
man.
You know what? It's funny. It is. It really. Those are the ones.
That
like
is
if it involves
an all-timer. You're right.
Okay, I want to hear yours before because I'm thinking of mine
Okay.
as I'm
all
going.
right.
Ben's gonna come in with like a river runs
Yeah.
through it.
Number 4.
Steel
Bridge over the
Magnolias.
River
A
Quad.
River Runs Through It will make you cry. It's an all-time good movie, though. Number
never seen
4, P.S. I Love You.
P.S. I love you.
It's Gerard Butler.
It's a rom com.
It's like a rom-com, but like he dies.
I don't know
and
that I've ever seen a
walks
rom-com.
Walks his former, like leaves letters behind and sends her on an adventure, and it'll get you. It'll get you. Number 3, The Green Mile.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
I can't remember
Stephen
crying
King,
during that
yeah.
one, but it does.
when he
it's a-
dies, oh come on.
I'm tired, boss.
Number
That line just kills me. Like,
I
holy
know.
crap.
Number 2, A Quiet Place.
Oh, I never saw it.
I can't spoil it, but the end,
I'm
Krasinski.
trying to remember.
the end of.
Okay, yeah, no, I think I
Okay,
saw that.
spoiler alert. Turn this off if you haven't seen it.
Well, just remember, is this the one with like the big weird bird things?
It's like the aliens. There's
Yeah.
aliens in it. They're attacking people. He's got his daughter's
making noise.
deaf.
I feel like that and Bird
daughter's
Box came
deaf.
out at the same time.
That's
and
right,
in my
yes.
brain,
Yeah,
they're
that-
like
I think you were
mixed.
thinking of that.
He ends up like sacrificing himself for his daughter,
Okay.
kind of thing. And he gives this look to the camera before he like.
I don't have
he
a
can
daughter,
tell
so I was fine at that
Yeah.
point.
his
in the
family
movie.
knows what he's about to do, and he just kind of gives this look. And John Krasinski's got this innocent face too, and so, dude, that ends and it ends abruptly. My wife sobbed, like ugly cried. She was like doing the thing, like it was bad.
I'm pretty sure my wife and I watched it together. I don't remember either of us crying, but
Number one, my friends, you bow to no one. the end.
You stand up and applaud.
Yeah, the end. Just the end. You see their four little bodies, and everyone's it's just like, oh.
Yeah, just got
short people make Brent cry. This just
Short
in.
people got. Yeah.
Well, I have two that I can think of, but I know that I'm missing. There's a few because I know I've cried in movies before, and my wife would probably tell me, she's like, "You cried at this." So here's my first one.
I wouldn't be. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying your wife is cold, but I could imagine you being more prone to cry at a movie than her.
Yes, 100%. I would think I would be. Mel certain things would make her cry at the drop of a hat, and like she can get emotional over.
Yeah, I'm not saying she's dead
But
inside. Or anything,
yeah, but I see where
I could
you're
see
like,
you being a slightly
I'm the
softer
more
touch.
Yeah, certain things do get me the way that got you.
Yeah.
For me, it's often song lyrics.
Yeah.
And they don't even need to be that. But for a while, I couldn't listen to Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Oh, yeah. Couldn't do it. Well,
I haven't been able to listen to that for a long time, but for very different reasons.
when you hear that woman, but when you
Beautiful song.
the like,
that was
I
forced on me by
work in the
CJCW.
city as a checkout girl. To finally see what it means to be living. Like that whole notion of just like they're fighting their way out of something, and I'm taking care of my alcoholic father. Like you're just like, this is.
Yes, I've never had any idea what that song is about.
Sorry, I'm doing
I thought it
songs
was
here,
just
but I'll
about
tell
owning
you,
a fast car.
there's another song that I used to cry at that I have no explanation, but I just think it's one of the most beautiful songs ever. Is "Old Apartment" by the Bare Naked Ladies.
Yes, that is a powerful
yeah.
song.
It's a powerful song.
Like
And the
it's-
bridge when he says, "We built an old house on the Danforth. She
Yeah.
loves me and her body keeps me warm. I'm happy here." That's poetic. That's so poetic. And I used to.
Come on.
I can feel it, but it's not
I
gonna get
don't
me.
think it's
but
ever
I
made
feel
me
it.
cry, but it's a gut
moving.
punch.
It's a gut
strong,
punch song. There's a
Yeah.
nostalgia. Like this is where we used to live. Anyway,
Northwest Passage by Stan Rogers in that category for
Yeah.
me.
Really?
Like I don't think it's ever made me cry, but it's just like it makes me feel the feels.
All right, so I hear that. So with movies,
Also, any movie where someone has to move from a fishing town to out west,
to
which is what that song's ultimately
gets
about.
me every time. Yeah.
Make and break harbor.
As a father, I think this is especially the case now. So, but I will say it made me cry the first time I saw it, and I saw it recently, and I was like, "Oh, is The Lion King?"
Oh yeah,
Really?
I'll get you.
Dude, when Mufasa dies,
Yeah,
like,
totally.
well, first it's Simba calling out for him,
Yeah.
like, "Dad," and you're like, "Oh," like.
And he's a little kitten.
He's a little kitten, but it's also just like Mufasa is such
yeah.
a great dad.
regal, awesome.
And he died for it's Hamlet, right? It's beautiful.
And
So
it was Simba's fault. Kind of.
and it was right. I mean, so the idea of like a child
Oh yeah.
cry. Oh man, so that one definitely. And the other one is not unrelated. It's called Life is Beautiful. Have you ever heard that movie? It's a foreign film. You got to watch it with subtitles. And it is about,
I don't know if I could cry with subtitles.
well, you'd be surprised. Let me tell
If
you.
once I started crying, I'd be lost because I don't read that good as it is, and then I wouldn't be able to see the words. And
It is a movie. I think it's an Italian film. It is a movie about a father who.
This is the moment where it becomes clear which guy here at this table has a PhD. There's a foreign film where
and it's a film, not a movie. No, it's a movie about a father and son who end up in a World War II concentration camp.
oh wow.
And he does everything to convince his child that it's all a joke. And so he pretends like they're all actors.
Oh wow.
And he to preserve the innocence of his
Wow.
boy. It is easily
That's
one
heavy.
of the most poignant
That
films.
seems like a very powerful movie. I
It's
do
an
not want to watch.
incredibly powerful movie.
I don't need that many feels in my life.
Yeah. And those are the two I can
Wow.
think of. And I know there's probably more, but that Life is Beautiful.
Well,
Yeah.
that was
That's a quick couple hours.
surprisingly moving.
Yeah.
Jeez, yeah. What-
Well, Ben,
yeah.
thank you, sir. This has been, as always, very fun. we'll see you. We'll see you folks
Hey,
next time.
thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah.
Love having you on, Ben.
Appreciate it.
Not just because you're pretty.
That was a good
But it don't
conversation,
hurt.
man.
Really smart.
But it's